Hello, 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 everyone. I'm waiting to see if we have anyone. This was very last minute. We'll see. Ooh, we've got 10 people that I can see. Say hi in the chat, please. Let me know who's here and where you are streaming from and what, if anything, you are working on today. I hope people are here. Otherwise, this will be a very short stream. It might just turn into a silent writing stream. Hi, yay, we've got some people. Yay, I'm not alone. Okay, hello everyone. Hey, all the way in New Zealand. What time is it there? And Kelly from Scotland. Kayla's here. Happy Friday. Not sure what I'm working on yet. May read. Yay, we've got more people popping in. Screenplay. Not working as it is 11 p.m. Thanks for hanging out so late. Sarka, it's great to have you here. Central Alabama. That's awesome. 9 a.m. Okay, so it's not super early. Hope not short. Got lots of proposal reviewing to do today. I mean, I will hang out for as long as people are wanting to hang out. I don't know how many sprints we'll do. This might be a chattier stream, but if you want to just kind of have us chatting in the background while you work, that works too. Kelly Jo, it's 10 p.m. here, but I thought I'd join in and read. Thank you. Hudson Valley area of New York. St. Louis. Yes, it's still a good time. Oh, but Saturday. Oh, okay. So that's a little early for a Saturday, at least for me, but that's good. Looks like we're up to 17 people now. That's awesome. I always forget to say this at the beginning of a sprint, but please go ahead and give this stream a thumbs up, a like if you are so inclined. I would really appreciate it. We've got Desiree is here in bed with a headache, but I'm here with you on the laptop. Thank you very much, Des. It's great to have you here. Paladina in Italy, 11 p.m. Thanks for everyone in Europe joining me late in the evening. And everyone in New Zealand joining me very early. It's great. It's great to have both groups. I feel like usually these streams, I'm either hitting the right time for Europe or I'm hitting the right time for New Zealand and Australia. So that's awesome. If you have any questions, so I thought this would be at least to start with, bit of a life update, catch up since the last vlog. If you watched the most recent vlog, the book is uploaded, and I have a proof copy. It's right here, and it looks beautiful, and I'm so happy. So it's not published yet. It's not live yet, but it will be very, very soon. So yeah, I thought we could do a bit of a Q&A / chat / maybe do some writing. I am working on the March chapter for the Ava and Luke chapters for everyone over on Patreon, those of you who have joined at the $5 paid level. So that is what I will be working on if we do some sprints in a little bit. But I do see some questions popping up. So Blue Mountain Little question I've been curious about. Will your teaching credentials translate if you were to try to get a teaching job across the pond? Yes, if I wanted to look into teaching positions in higher ed, in the UK or in Europe, my credentials being a PhD, that translates wherever I go that uses a advanced degree like a PhD as the main hiring criteria. So that is an option for me. It's something I have been thinking about. But yeah, also because it's a PhD, it's not like a teaching certification. I think if I wanted to teach like in primary or secondary school and had like a degree in that and teaching certification to teach primary or secondary, someone in that position might have to do some additional certification to then teach overseas. But for me, with what my qualifications and credentials are, no, it pretty much translates. Sarka says, I started to read Forever Love London. Thank you. I hope to finish it until the publication of your new book. I love hearing that. Also, there's some people saying they love it. It's beautiful. Congrats. Thank you so much. I'm so excited. I literally the proof copy, which obviously if you buy a copy, you won't have the not for resale bar on it. This is just because it's a physical proof. I've been carrying this around, like it's been traveling all around my apartment. I don't like having it out of eyesight. I just want to stare at it all the time. I might try to pop it up back here with my peonies that I got. Trader Joe's, at least here in Arizona, has amazing peonies at the moment. Another question, and I have been getting this one a lot. Can you start anywhere with your books, or should I just go to number 1? So with the Independent Heart series, so not this series, but the other one, those books are all interconnected standalone, so you can jump in anywhere you want with Independent Hearts. With the Across the Pond series, I think I still got my stack behind me. With the Across the Pond series, books 1, 2, and 3 form a trilogy. So you would want to read these ones in order. You wouldn't want to read 2 or 3 without having read book 1 and 2 first. So these 3 need to be read in order. But book 4 and book 5 are written as interconnected standalones. So the first 3 books are all about Eleanor as the main character and her journey. And then book 4 spun off and is about one of Eleanor's friends, Celeste, as well as Eleanor's cousin, Jonathan. So you meet them in the first 3 books, but they are the main focus of this book. And there will be some minor spoilers to the first 3 in terms of you'll kind of figure out what happens to Eleanor in those books and where her journey is at by book 4. But I would say those are fairly minor spoilers, and they're the kind of spoilers that you would expect from an interconnected romance series. And then book 5 is kind of the same thing as this, where you can jump straight into book 5. And book 5 is about another of Eleanor's friends named Carly and her romance and relationship. And so you can kind of pick up, and again, it will have minor spoilers for book 4, but nothing that would, the spoilers you'll get in book 4 or book 5 are not spoilers, in my opinion, that would ruin reading the first 3 books, because part of reading the first 3 books, even if you know how things end up for Eleanor, the fun of going back and reading those will be in seeing how she gets to where she's at by these books. So long answer short, you can dive straight into book 5 and then go back and read 1 through 3, or go back and read 4 and then read 1 through 3. It's entirely up to you. But yeah, that's the new book, baby. I'm so excited. Congrats on finishing the book before your trip across the pond. Honestly, like, I am ready to collapse. I am so ready to collapse. But I'm so happy that I got it done on time. So literally all that's left is to hit publish, which I will probably do in the next few days. So yeah. So Kelly says congrats, and Nikki from Montana says it looks great. Thank you so much. And absolutely, Allison, I've been getting this question a lot. I need to like do a post on a few different places just so that people know, and I'll be repeating it a lot. So both Des and Brooke are asking, when do you leave? I leave on Thursday, so just under a week. I will officially be landing in London 1 week from today, next Friday, and I fly 1 week from yesterday. So cue the panic. I'm definitely starting to feel the anxiety. I filmed 2 videos yesterday, 2 videos that you will see this coming Monday and Wednesday. So a little bit of like a preview for that. I am on Monday will be the video on how I design my covers. A bunch of you have been asking for that. So I finally filmed that. So you'll see behind the scenes really of how this cover in particular came together. So I've got lots of time lapses of, working on it in progress. And then on Wednesday, there will be a sit-down video on how I market my books, which is a video I've been kind of avoiding doing, but I finally kind of figured out how I wanted to talk about that. So that will be coming. So next week won't be vlogs. It'll be more like sit-down chatty topic videos, but then it's all vlogs after that. So today I started filming the first of the kind of countdown to England vlogs. I think there will be 3 of those vlogging this like final week before I travel. So all the final prep and packing and things like that. So those will start being uploaded when I get to England. And those will be what goes up while I'm in London and vlogging London. And then the London vlogs will start probably when I get up to Leeds. So that's a little YouTube preview. Let me see. Yeah, it is very soon, Des. It's very, 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 very soon. And forward looking, that feeling you get when a giant load has lifted off the shoulders, it's such a freeing feeling. Yes, literally the day I opened up, and this was the last bit of the vlog that went up on Thursday, yesterday is when I published it. The day I opened up the proof copy and looked through it and saw that everything looked good, everything looked right, the cover looked good. Like, there's little things I can be nitpicky about, but the moment I looked at it and realized it is more than good enough and I'm done, for a moment, I almost didn't know what to do with myself, because it's like, now what? And I think in that way, it's good that I do have the trip coming up, because it gives me something to plan for. Allison asks another question. Congrats on the promotion. Thank you. Is there a reason your title is senior instructor and not professor? Just curious. Yeah, so within, these are great questions. Within higher ed in the US, I know in Europe, the titles and ranks are a little bit different. And it varies throughout the US as well. In my department, as well as throughout my whole university, there are tenure track and career track faculty. So tenure track are the majority of the professors: assistant professor, associate professor, full professor, etc. They have service and research requirements to their job. And then career track are instructors and teaching professors, and the teaching professors used to be called lecturers. And so instructors, and they now, there didn't used to be a promotion path within each of those ranks, but now there are. So now it's instructor, senior instructor, and principal instructor. So the next promotion I could go for will be principal instructor in a few years. Or if a position opens up, I could apply to be a teaching professor, which is something I would be open to doing. So it's really just what the position is. The job requirements are a little bit different. In terms of my job is 100% teaching. I have no service component and I have no research requirement. So the whole publisher parish mentality, which is very common on the tenure track. To achieve tenure, you have to publish a certain amount within a certain amount of time. So it's a very different system. But then you have tenure, which there are definitely pros and positive things of having tenure. My job is not tenure track, so we call it career track faculty. It's also at some universities referred to as non-tenure track or NTT. And so I'm on a year-to-year contract. I won't lie, when I first started my PhD, tenure track faculty is what I assumed I would get, but the academic job market, certainly by 2018, when I graduated, is really intense. And also, I do like teaching. I didn't really want research to be something I was required to do. I really wanted to be able to focus on teaching. I would have probably had to go to a smaller liberal arts college or a community college to get a job that was 100% teaching. So in some ways, the benefit of where I'm at is that I'm able to still operate within a large Research One university with very driven, very motivated students, especially in my business writing class. And I get to be a full teaching role and not have, I do some service that's outside of my contract that it gets essentially contracted separately. But I'm able to have still a very active role in my department, but have my main focus be on teaching, and I really like that. So Mia is here. Thank you for joining us. I'm glad you saw the notification. And yeah, I get questions fairly frequently about my job, and I'm always happy to answer them. Forward looking, I put a notepad, an obvious table about a week out from leaving for a major trip to make a list that I add to from basics to toiletries. One thing, then the packing day goes really smoothly. One thing, I don't use Notion, but the one regularly, but 2 years ago when I did the trip with Mom, I created a Notion travel organizer and planner. So I've made a new copy of that. So the bulk of my packing list is already organized. So at the moment, that's kind of like the notepad that you use. And I'm just adding things to my shopping list, to my packing list, and then going from there. So yeah. Are there different educational requirements between professor and instructor? I'm in the US and never realized this. So sort of. So the main requirements to be hired at my university, at least as an instructor, is I believe you are required to have a master's, but a master's degree, but a PhD is preferred. And most of us do have PhDs or some other terminal degree. So an MTESOL, which is a Master's in Teaching English as a Second Language. I know there's a couple who have an MTESOL. And then there's a few MFAs in creative writing. An MFA is kind of an equivalent to a PhD, so it's considered a terminal degree. There's no degree higher than that for creative writing. And you have to have teaching experience in the field. So you have to have held some sort of similar teaching position. So often people are coming from either being graduate teaching assistants at another university in a writing program, or having taught at a community college somewhere else, or they might have gone abroad and taught English in a foreign country. I think we have a few people who are like that, and that's their prior teaching experience. So those are the main requirements for being an instructor. To be a professor, I haven't looked at those requirements in a while. You have to have a PhD or a terminal degree. So if you wanted to be hired to be a professor in creative writing in my department, you'd have to have an MFA in creative writing. I think a certain amount of research and publication. You also typically have to come and do a job talk, a teaching demonstration, and a research presentation. So, talking about your research and what you're working on. Your research focus is really, really important and needs to be in alignment with what the university who is hiring is looking for. So, getting my job is a little easier. It's still competitive. There's still probably more people, more applicants than there are lines available. But it is not nearly as competitive as getting a tenure track position. The year that I graduated, I think there were like 140 tenure track jobs for rhetoric and composition in the entire country. And every job, from what I was hearing, all of those jobs were having like 300 or 400 people per job apply to them. It was intense. It was really, really intense. So yeah, I'm happy to have, getting my job was a lot easier. Thanks for clarification. Yeah, I'm a faculty librarian and the service research component is exhausting. I'm sure. It's a lot. Have you ever considered querying your own course for the college? I remember taking a short story class that the English 101 professor created himself. Yeah, that's easier to do at other universities and smaller programs. There are some very, very limited options for that for me. So it's not something I've invested a lot of time in. That's a little bit easier for faculty to do at the community college space level. Creating your own class is more for tenure track and tenured faculty than instructors. I think some of the teaching professors get that option, but there are so many classes that are already on the list. Getting new classes approved is really difficult. Question. I knew someone was going to ask this. My question, are you already working on your next book, or do you plan on finding the next inspiration in London? So next projects. Technically, the next book that will be published is going to be Independent Hearts 5, which is Bryn's story. So it'll be Bryn and the Pottery Shop. That one is going to be a very autumnal book. It's going to be set through September, October, November time, probably September and October, ending early November. I will probably work on that in earnest when I get back from my trip. I want to have a full draft of that done as close to New Year's as possible. So I really would like to be writing that one in September, October, November. But I will also be working on this year's Patreon Advent story in September, October, November as well, so that that will be done and ready to post by the time December hits. So while I am in England, what I would like to work on, even though this is moving things out of order, I would like to start working on Across the Pond Book 6, which technically won't publish until 2028, but I'm not going to be able to resist working on that while I'm in England. So I want to start jotting down some outlines and notes and maybe write a couple scenes and things like that. Typically, as I finish one book, I'm starting to hear from the character for the next book. So the next one, slight tease, slight spoiler, I've just mentioned it in the back of the book. So, and I think I've already mentioned it. Book 6 for Across the Pond is going to be Grace, who is still, in terms of the world of the book, or the series, she is still finishing up her PhD here in Arizona. So obviously by book 6, she will finish that and will assume, I hope, slight spoiler, I guess, move to London or go to London. So I'm going to want to start working on that for sure. I'm not going to be able to resist. So I'll be working on that, doing some outlining for that, some outlining for Independent Hearts Book 5, and also definitely while I'm in Oxford, I'm not going to be able to resist working on Project Darkness at least a little bit. So those will be the 3 projects I'm working on, but I will probably also start doing some brainstorming and developing for the Patreon Advent story, because I want to get ahead on that this year. I don't want to be writing everything at the last minute like I was last December. I really want that to be completely drafted by December 1st, because I do want to do it again, but it's going to be a lot. So if I can be doing little bits along the way, that is going to be helpful. Plus, I'm still going to be writing bonus chapters for Ava and Luke throughout the rest of the year. So there's going to be a lot of writing. So expect a lot of like writing sprint live streams once I get back and kind of adjust after jet lag and stuff, because I'm going to have a lot of writing to do in the second half of 2026. So yes, I will be working on some things while I'm in England. JK Lambo has joined us. Welcome. Danielle is here, or was here. Wish I could stay and write, but I have to get my ID renewed. Hope all goes smoothly and quickly with that. Thank you, Allison. I think my students agree. My students tend to like me, which makes me really happy. Avi is here. Hi, Avi. Welcome. It's great to have you here. Jana says you could just do your own class for people not wanting to enroll in college. Yeah, so that's a little bit tricky. I do have to be mindful and also, I think, disclose when I'm doing outside teaching work. I don't know how that works when it comes to doing like my own online course, especially if it was in creative writing or something like that, because I don't teach creative writing in my job. So creating my own course and having my own course is something I have thought about doing and like marketing it to you all. I just haven't gotten there yet. I'm not there. I'm not there yet. Your next book sounds incredibly cozy. I think Bryn's story is going to be, I mean, the Independent Heart series in general is all cozy vibes. No matter what season it's set in, that whole series is just cozy vibes to the max. But yeah, Bryn's story is going to be really cozy and autumnal and a little bit spooky with Halloween. And I'm really excited to work on that. I think that's going to be really fun to work on in late July, August, September, when I get back. And when it still feels 1,000,000 degrees hot outside here in Arizona. So are you stopping at 5 in each series? So Independent Hearts will pause at book 5, and Across the Pond will pause at book 6 after Grace's story. I do have ideas for both series beyond those, but I really, really, really want to develop and hopefully eventually query Project Darkness, which is my in development unpublished fantasy series. So really want to work on that, and it's just been really difficult to work on that while also teaching full-time and writing and publishing these 2 series. So I won't stop the series. Neither series will end. They will just get put on pause until I get Project Darkness to a point where it can be queried or self-published. I will probably try the traditional publication route for that series to start with, but if I can't get an agent or can't get a publisher, I will self-publish it on my own. I also have an as yet unpublished, but the first draft is done, royal romance series that would be at least a trilogy of 3 royal siblings. I really want to publish that one day. So we'll probably put these series on pause, take everything I've learned from doing these and give these other series a try. So we will see. Yeah, so similar to that, do you know how many you will write in each of your series? So 5 for now in Independent Hearts, 6 for now in Across the Pond. Then both of those series have a pretty decent backlist that people can go in and just binge a few. And then, but I've got, for Independent Hearts, I do have ideas for 3 more. So for 6, 7, and 8. And for Across the Pond, I have ideas for 2 more beyond book 6. So a book 7 and 8 for that one. So I will come back to them eventually. How many book ideas do you have in your head / written down? In my head, at least 40. At least 40. Written down, it's fewer, but there's a lot in my head. I've got another kind of women's fiction / romance series in mind that would be at least 5 books and feature kind of female protagonists in their 40s. I have Beyond Project Darkness. I have another fantasy series that would probably be 3 to 5 books. I've got the Royal Romance series, which would be at least 3, but then I could do at least an additional 2 beyond that. So there's a lot of stories in my head. There's a ton of standalones, both fantasy and historical fiction. I've got more ideas than I've got time to write them, unfortunately. Woohoo for more sprints. I don't know how many sprints we're gonna do today. We might not do any. This might just be a chatty catch-up live stream. But yeah, I really wanted to hop on live and just chat and catch up with you all. Have you heard of the Emma M. Lyon series by Beth Brower, set in London, perfect to binge during your trip? No, I have not. Where is a sticky note? I will write that down. And well, that's a task list for Across the Pond. Don't have to worry about that. Also, I need to start calling it by its title, Loving a London Boy, which I cannot take credit for that title because my dear friend Kaylin just came up with that out of nowhere one day when we were on a live stream. And I love it when my friends name my books for me. My friend Janelle came up with The Candle Shop of Wicks and Whimsy, and that just really made me happy. I hate coming up with titles. Book titles and book descriptions are the bane of my existence. They are so hard to come up with. How did you manage to be so organized with ADHD? I'm not doing great. I'm sorry. I wish I had a more helpful answer for this. I get asked this quite a lot. And I'll try to sit down and think of a proper answer and maybe do this in a video. Honestly, the biggest thing, I think, because I wasn't diagnosed until I was 41 and I'm now 45. I was very late in age diagnosis. I'm not someone who got diagnosed as a kid or as a teen or even in my 20s. So I had already had a lifetime, basically, my lifetime up to age 41 to adapt. I'd already done 2 masters and a PhD. Before that, I'd been a costume designer, which required a lot of organization. So it was just trial and error over the first 40 some years of my life. So I don't feel like I do anything that special or that different from what you'll find if you research productivity tips for people with ADHD. I did a binge of those videos when I was thinking that I might have ADHD. And then after I had my diagnosis confirmed, I did a lot of research of like just reading blog posts and watching YouTube videos. I noticed during my PhD in particular, like writing my dissertation, using Pomodoro sprints. So doing sprints, live streams that other people were doing, or just setting a timer, working for a set amount of time and then taking a break, limiting screen time, using screen time as like a reward. So I can't go on my phone and look at Instagram unless I do XYZ. My planner, I got really into bullet journals during my PhD. Having a physical task list really makes a difference. Printing stuff out, like when it came to my coursework, I had to print stuff out and have everything organized in like labeled folders and files. I've always been very old school physical hard copy when it comes to materials. I'll have a digital backup, but having everything just on my computer or just on my phone does not work for me. I need to be able to see things. So having a physical calendar or a physical planner where I can see my whole month laid out or my whole week laid out makes a huge difference. And I think the other thing that really helped is accepting that my productivity and organization is going to look different from someone who is neurotypical and who doesn't have ADHD, that what works for other people might not work for me, and that's okay. I don't have to fit my square mindset, my square brain wiring into a round hole. I don't have to try to be like other people. I can just be me and find things that work for me. But it's absolutely trial and error. Mentorship, maybe that may be different than teacher, or am I splitting hairs? Yeah, so I think this is why I'm starting with these live streams. I do want to do more to like organize this community and create a organized space where I can be more of that mentor, like writing mentor, friend, cheerleader. So I'm starting with these live streams, but one thing I'm working on with either Patreon or something separate from Patreon is creating a writing space where instead of a live stream where I'm only interacting with you in the chat, where it'll be on something like Zoom, where a group of us can meet in a space, like in a co-working space like Zoom, and be able to chat live in that way. It'll be smaller groups that would be paid, that wouldn't be a free thing. So I'm still organizing how I want to work that out. But the live streams have been going so well, and are so much fun. And the chat just makes me wish that we were all on Zoom or something so that we could talk and see each other face to face. So yeah, eventually one day, and probably within the next like 12 months is when I would ideally like to be able to have more of a formalized writing community, because I think that would be really, really fun. I held off on reading The Farm Shop of Second Chances so I could read it this summer for the vibes. I'm so excited to get closer to that time. It is a good book to read during the summer, I think. This would be a great time to read Candle Shop. And then within like, I feel like by June is a good time for Farm Shop. And it will be those cozy summer vibes for sure. ISO Shakespeare, welcome. Just got here from Washington, working on my Substack. That's awesome. Avi, you could write a cozy semi-nonfiction called How to Make Arizona Your Little London. I might do something like that. Brooke says, excited for Project Darkness. I am excited for Project Darkness too. I'm hoping I can make some good progress on it when I'm in Oxford. I am hoping to get a reader card for the Bodleian Library while I am in Oxford with the Accepted Society Symposium. So there will be, hopefully there will be some very atmospheric writing days in the Bodleian, and I'm hoping I can find some fun research materials related to Project Darkness. Yeah, a royal sibling romance might be hard to swallow in the current disillusioned Andrew climate. What about a royal series set in, say, Spain or in a historic period? So royal romance, it's the siblings are two brothers and a sister, and the sister is the one who is the crown princess in line for the throne. And it is set in a fictional European country, kind of in the like Austria, Czech Republic, Germany area. So I think I've set it up as it was a former duchy of the Austro-Hungarian Empire type thing. So it's not a European, it's not a British royal family. And I think keeping everything with that in mind is something that I probably would play with in the books a little bit. But yeah, I really love that story, and a couple of my friends have read it. So I really do want to publish that eventually. And I love royal romance as a subgenre of romance. What are your favorite books / authors? Excellent question. I love Deborah Harkness and the All Souls trilogy / series. She's now expanded it beyond beyond a trilogy. So love the Discovery of Witches and all the books in the All Souls series. Other favorite authors for indie romance, I love Avon Ellis. I'm looking over at my bookshelf. It's so messy right now. Classic author, can't go wrong with Jane Austen. Also really love Charlotte Bronte. And honestly, enjoyed Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte a lot more than I thought I would. That book is way better than any of the film adaptations, including the most recent one, have ever made it seem. Beth O'Leary is another favorite. She writes, I would say women's fiction, but with a strong romance element. Kind of more what would have been referred to as chick lit back in the day. So I think if you like some of my books, you might like Beth O'Leary. Highly recommend The Switch by her and The Flat Share. I think The Switch is my favorite, but The Flat Share is pretty good. And yeah, what else can I see on my shelf? Another indie romance author I like, Marie Landry. She writes really great romance. Some of it is sweet romance, some of it is spicy. She's excellent. V.E. Schwab, love The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. That is one of my all-time favorite books. Oh my gosh, and a friend of mine is reading it right now, and I'm like, text me updates. I want to know as you are reading it. But Shades of Magic, the Shades of Magic trilogy is good. R.F. Kuang, love Babel, loved Catabasis, also really enjoyed Yellowface. So yeah, highly recommend her. More recent reads, Patty Callahan Henry. I really loved The Secret Book of Flora Lee and The Story She Left Behind. I think The Story She Left Behind was slightly more my favorite. But yeah, there's even more books that I can't see, but those are some. Those are definitely some. What happened to the fantasy work in project? So Project Darkness, it's still there. It's still kicking around. I'm hoping to make some good progress on it this summer. It's percolating. I'm working on it. I'm definitely working on it. Will you see Kaylin while in London? Yes. We were just texting today. She was one of the people I was buying gifts for at Trader Joe's today. We will definitely be spending a lot of time together, both in London and in Oxford, because I will be at the Accepted Society Symposium in Oxford in early July, which she and Kate will both be co-hosting. So I'm really looking forward to that. And Jana says she was the first one I thought of since her partner is London Boy. Yes. So funny story with that. I originally wanted to refer to one of the characters, have their nickname be London Boy, but Kaylin and I weren't friends yet. And even though technically London Boy is a Taylor Swift song, which I do reference, when Kaylin and I became friends, I didn't want her to think that I was stealing her nickname for her partner. So I used Coffee Man instead, which does not have the same ring to it. And so I kind of put London Boy on the list of like words and phrases and themes for the title. And as soon as I mentioned like this word, London Boy, this word, Kaylin just spits out loving a London boy. I'm like, okay. Okay. So again, she came up with the title, and I feel like it is a little bit of a nod to Kaylin, who was an early alpha reader for this book, and I was doing a lot of the writing of it during our writing co-working sessions. So yeah, it's very fitting. I'm glad that the title made you think of her. So mightily confusing. I was thinking more along the lines of Harry and Meghan, which is also not without its own drama. So yeah, with the Royal Romance series that I'm working on, other authors have done fictionalized royal romance stories that are very heavily inspired by William and Kate, Harry and Meghan. It's been done. I have no interest in doing that myself. So this is a completely different royal family in a fictional European royal country. I want to be able to play with all the things that I have learned. My PhD was on royal fashion, in part royal fashion and stateswomen fashion clothing, and identity construction related to American first ladies. I would also love to do a novel one day about like a fictional American first lady, because I think that would be really fun. So yeah, I am very intrigued by that world of just royals in general. As well as the question of like, should countries even have monarchies anymore? And like, what do they truly offer to a country? So yeah, it's not going to be inspired by the British royal family in any way. It's just more inspired by royals in general, and kind of like as a modern fairy tale, like as a girl who grew up with Disney princesses, that's kind of the mentality that I'm approaching my Royal Romance series with. I would love to base a story in Provence. There's a bunch of places in France I could set a novel, and I would absolutely have to visit for research. So Des, same, late in life ADHD diagnosis, like in the last year at 43, and went through the same rabbit hole of tips and ideas. Yeah, I was one of those people in the early year or so of the pandemic who started seeing a lot of posts on social media of like 5 signs you might have ADHD. And I would never advocate diagnosing yourself off of social media, but literally every time I saw one of those posts, every sign that they referenced, I had, including things that I legitimately thought that I'm the only person who does this. I have to be the only person who does this. So it really was like, maybe there's some truth here, and maybe I should actually go see a doctor and like find out for sure. So yeah. Also on the ADHD, Post-its are amazing. Like someone, I think it might have even been one of you on this stream. My squirrel box of Post-it notes. Someone talked about how I had enough Post-it notes to last a siege. I do, and yet they will disappear sooner than people think, because I go through Post-it notes at an alarming rate, and they will get stuck up everywhere. And if I have a thought, I need to put it typically on a Post-it. Sometimes writing it somewhere else in my platform or in my planner will work. Other times I need Post-its. And it's why I have multiple pads of Post-it notes, because I will have like 3 or 4. Like I've got another one here. And I swear I've got my tulip ones here. I will leave it sometimes on the Post-it note or on the pad until I do whatever this Post-it is about. Then I will rip it off. So that way I don't lose them. They don't just go floating around. So yeah, Post-it notes for the win, which reminds me, this one was related to the book price. I have already done all of that on Amazon, so I don't need that Post-it note anymore. It's probably terrible for the environment. I think one of the things I need to get is one of those like little dry erase board things that you can put like just right behind your keyboard, that are like little mini like reusable Post-it notes. So yeah. Honestly, Avi, prioritizing health and rest. As someone with a chronic illness, I don't have a choice. I really don't have a choice. I said Duchy. It's probably Dutchy. I don't know. It's one of those words where I've really only seen in print. I don't hear many people pronounce it. It probably is Dutchy now that I'm thinking about it. Love that the royal romance has the sister being crowned. Yeah, I'm going, the series essentially goes in reverse order. It starts with the youngest sibling, so the spare to the spare, and then will work its way up to the crown princess. Tell us your opinions of Wuthering Heights that you avoid saying on your video. I really don't like it. It was not for me. It was not for me. I will say my problems with it. I didn't mind that it wasn't historically accurate. That doesn't bother me at all. I didn't mind that it was an interpretation, a very interesting and loose interpretation of the book. There were some things that they changed that I personally felt didn't really work. But okay, you know, it wasn't for me. It wasn't for me. Visually, it just wasn't my aesthetic. I think the nicest way I can phrase this is it just felt like it was a lot of show and not that much substance. And now that I have read the book, I just would really like someone to do a version and adaptation of it that really gets at what Emily Bronte was trying to do, that doesn't just focus on the romance, the very toxic, twisted romance. I don't even want to call it a romance, because when I read the book, I didn't even see it as a romance. It was Kathy and Heathcliff are a very codependent relationship, but I wouldn't even classify it as romance. So I struggle with it. Chick lit sounds like chick. Yeah. I never liked the term chick literature for books either, because like chick lit, chick flicks, heaven, I've always said slash ranted, when a book about a male character going through life is written and published, like a book about a male character written by a male author, that's called fiction. That's called literature. When a woman writes a story about a female main character and her journey through life, it's called chick lit, or a chick flick if it's the film version. Don't like it. Drives me nuts. And yes, the blackout curtains are up because it's getting warm again. It did drop back down into the 90s, but I think it's supposed to be 104, 105 on the day I leave. So I put the blackout curtains up. They do keep the heat out a little bit, so they do help my air conditioning bill a little bit. But yeah, I really would like to write a novel about a first lady. I think that would be fun. Princess Diaries 2 is my favorite romance. I love it. I low-key wanted to live in Genovia and eat pear ice cream for a long time. I even memorized their national anthem. I love that movie so much, both of them. And I think they have confirmed there's going to be a third one. I hope that comes out soon. The Princess Diaries movies I love so much. And apparently I'm not the only one who loves that. And yes, Desiree, as it's also what I love about fiction. We can be inspired by real life, but make up our own worlds, leaders, rules, all of that. So I used to be a costume designer many years ago. The last thing I designed was in 2013, because I gave it up right before my PhD. I couldn't continue designing shows while also doing a PhD. It was just way too much. Most of my graduate seminar courses, my first year of my PhD, were in the evening and would conflict with rehearsals. But also just energy wise, I couldn't do it. But I loved it. I've done theater. A lot of theater. I've worked in almost every kind of costume position. I've been wardrobe supervisor, assistant designer, costume designer, stitcher, costume technician. I've been everything from the person who makes the costumes to the person who helps the actors change in their costumes, as well as the person designing them. But I've also done some ballet costumes. I did learn how to make a tutu, both a classical tutu and a romantic tutu. So the classical ones are the ones that go straight out, and romantic tutus are the long flowy tulle ones. Classical tutus are hell on your arms. I would wear like cut off like socks that I cut the toes off so I could slip them up my arms, because it scratches a lot. You don't want to put lotion on after that because it stings. And I don't think I did any opera, but I did theater, ballet, and I've done a little bit of film. So including I was the assistant to the designer on a small indie film called Moon Pie. And of course, it was that director's next film that was like his big break. So I do have an IMDb credit, one. Yeah, the Habsburgs. Imagine that as a real romance. Yeah, that'd be funny though. It's another reason why I don't really want to base it on any like real romance, real royal figures in the past. I mean, there's some, but again, I feel like that's been done. So Post-it notes, notepad, voice notes. I have a notes problem. You're not the only one. Post-it talk while I'm using Post-its and whiteboard to organize my end of the year to do. So I'm glad I'm not the only one annoyed by chick lit as a term, because it really did always annoy me. Yeah, dude lit never really caught on. Again, it's just called fiction. And what's annoying is most books that were, especially in the early 2000s, most books that were classified as chick lit were in the fiction and literature section at the bookstore. They weren't in romance. But they had to give them their own title. I've been watching some of your own vids. How have you maintained the YouTube routine? You're OG. 10 years now. It's been 10 years that I've been doing this. I don't know. It just became a routine. Now it feels weird when I miss an upload. Although now that I've done it super consistently for 10 years, I am finally cutting myself some slack if I need to like miss an upload and like delay an upload by a day or two. So yeah, but I don't know. I love it. I absolutely love making YouTube videos. I love all of you who watch them and like getting to know all of you in the chat, or like in the comments and in the chat on these live streams. Like the live streams are definitely going to be a huge part of like this next decade on this platform. YouTube satisfies something for me. I feel like this channel has become my place, and you all can love me or not. And if you don't, that's totally fine. I don't take it personal. There are tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, I don't know, other channels that you can go and watch. I'm not going to be for everyone. Some people will think I'm too chatty, that I'm too repetitive. I'm trying not to get hung up on some of the comments I get. It's like, yes, I do repeat myself, and yes, I do chat a lot and I go on tangents, but like, this is my space. This is my home, essentially. This is my corner of the internet, and I can be whoever I am and whoever I want to be, and I can talk too much and I can repeat myself a million times, and that's okay because this is my space. This is my home, and I don't really allow other people to come in and tell me how I should be on my own channel. And so I feel like YouTube has really given me the gift of being able to show up somewhere and take space and use my voice and talk about the things that I care about. And if people don't care about what I care about, that's fine. They're going to go somewhere else. But I have somehow managed to find over 14,000 of you who do like what I talk about. And so, yeah, YouTube has been the best thing I've ever done, tied probably with starting to self-publish my books and letting myself be a writer and not holding myself back for, because of feeling like I need a traditional publishing deal or validation from a publisher. Like, I'd still like to try that one day, but like, as far as Project Darkness is concerned, I also know if I can't get that traditionally published, I have absolutely no problem self-publishing that. And I would probably in that case take some time to save up some money to be able to publish those books in a way and like hire and outsource to hire a certain amount of help that I don't have for my romance novels. But yeah, YouTube is amazing. I love YouTube so much. Everyone's talking about the pear ice cream in Princess Diaries. Did you see the musical Diana Confession? I kind of loved it. No, I haven't. I don't know if there's anywhere I can watch that online, and I haven't been to live theater in I don't know how long. I don't know if I'll have time to go see something when I'm in London, or money. Tickets can be expensive. Um, but that is a show that I have been curious, just because Princess Diana was part of my PhD research. I'm very curious. Like, I've watched a lot of the film adaptations, and I've watched The Crown, um, because as someone who studied her clothing, I'm always very curious to see which of her iconic outfits essentially get included in adaptations. So which moments of her life get depicted on the screen, and thus require a copy of that garment to be made, because clothing and what she wore is so closely connected to her public identity and how we think about her. We tend to remember her outfits as much as her actions. And she was very conscious and deliberate in what she wore, which most royal women are, but she did that to a level that we really hadn't seen before. That kind of very strategic dressing. And it's something that we now see subsequent generations of royals doing. So Catherine, Princess of Wales, definitely does it. Meghan, when she was Duchess of Sussex, when she was an active member of the royal family, she did that. A lot of for both of them, a lot of championing British brands, smaller British brands, British heritage brands, but then wearing something like Dior on a state visit to France or something. So the term sartorial rhetoric was barely used when I was writing my dissertation, but now it's a lot more commonly used. In the US, if you guys will forgive this little tangent into my PhD research, in the US, American First Ladies function in the same way. And so Jacqueline Kennedy, we tend to remember her through what she wore, in the same way that we remember Diana through what she wore. So Diana and Jackie were my fashion icons of the past. And then Michelle Obama and Catherine, Princess Kate, as everyone calls her, and I hate that. Catherine, Duchess Catherine, now Catherine, Princess of Wales. I'm very finicky about getting titles right. But yeah, so I would love to see the musical Diana one day, just because I've watched a few different film adaptations of her life, and I've watched the seasons of The Crown that covered her, and it's always very interesting to see how she gets depicted. Danny, hello everyone, getting ready to put up the first Chicago art for my newly set up writing space. Yay! Congratulations on 825. Thank you. It's right here. It's right here beside me. I'm very happy. And Danny, make sure that you post pictures in the one of the group chats on Patreon, because I want to see the Chicago art once you put it up. Peoplester, if I'm reading that correctly, I should have my reading glasses on. Hello from New Mexico. Hello. I actually love the chatty, steady vibes you give out. See, the people who like me will find me, and like, I'm just here being me, and the right people will find me and will appreciate me. And anyone who doesn't appreciate me has my good wishes, all the best, and they can go somewhere else on YouTube. The chicklet disclaimer is to prevent alpha males from reading anything of substance where nothing is blowing up except someone's friendships and relationships. Yeah, probably. Finally embracing not caring and being myself happily in my 40s now. Exactly. Our tribes will find us. Don't enjoy our content. That's okay. You don't have to watch. You don't have to announce your departure on your way out either. It's not an airport. like every now and then I'll get a comment on a vlog of like, you know, you really should, I like you, but, or I like this video, but, and then some sort of feedback. And I don't mind feedback when it's something that won't change the fundamental nature of who I am. But like, if you just tell me you shouldn't talk too much, that's never going to happen. But I love that you all love the chatty vibes. I love in New Mexico applying for an English degree. That's awesome. I mean, not that I'm biased or anything. I've got 2 English degrees. I love your videos because I relate to you so well. I love seeing a writer my age on here doing cool stuff. And that's exactly what I'm trying to do. I love your chatty moments. The right audience will always come. Exactly. I never, and I mean, I really mean never watched vlogs because I never found vlogs like yours. I think that's another thing, finding my style, and not trying to be like other vloggers. Like I can watch other people's vlogs. Like I'll watch Kaylin's vlogs, or I love Morgan Long. Her vlogs are just so magical and whimsical, and beautiful. But like, and not that mine aren't, but they're just in a different way. And so rather than compare myself, I just lean into what I've got. I'm super chatty, so I love your lengthy videos. No topsoil fluff, it's all roots. Thank you, Avi. Of course, then I've always got my mother who's like, you know, your vlogs would be great if they were 20 minutes long. My mom always wants them to be shorter. And it is like, she is so smug. I love my mother, just FYI, for those who are new here and haven't seen mom in all the vlogs. I adore and worship my mother. But this is a like running joke between us that my vlogs are too long for her, and that's why she doesn't watch all of them. So she is very, very smug about the fact that the one video that went absolutely viral for my channel was about a 20-minute vlog. She thinks that's the sweet spot. There's a genuineness in how you present yourself, which is unique and cannot be faked. You do you, Andrea. Thank you, Barbara. Yeah, I feel like when I first started on YouTube, my first few years, I really struggled with comparison and trying to be like other YouTubers and other vloggers. And like I resisted vlogging at first and was doing just like standard haul videos and get ready with me and what's in my bag and, you know, monthly favorites, because I didn't think anyone would watch a vlog of my life. But then I got over that, thankfully. And I love vlogging, and I love just sharing my life. And I have learned, especially over the last 2 or 3 years, that I started vlogging primarily in late 2020, because with the pandemic, I wasn't going out, I wasn't shopping, so there were no more hauls, there were no get ready with me. Doing a what's in my bag didn't really feel like there was much of a point. And so vlogs just became the one thing I felt like I could do. And kind of from that point to now, my channel has grown more. And it's, I think, because more of you are finding me, and I'm finding people, and people are finding me who have things in common with me. You either relate to my journey as a woman in her 40s. You relate to me as a woman going through perimenopause. You relate to me as a teacher or someone working in higher education, or we connect over being a writer, whether you're a publishing author or an aspiring to be a published author, or we connect over our love of books. Like everyone has something in common with me. And so it makes it easier to make certain vlogs, because even if I feel like, ooh, this feels a little bit vulnerable, or this feels really niche, I don't know if anyone's going to care, at least a handful of you care. And with some of those videos, even if only one person comments and says, oh my gosh, thank you for posting this, I feel less alone now, that makes it worth it. That just makes it so worth it. I just want to say I genuinely admire you so. Oh, thank you. I'm 25 and kind of okay, you're inspiring me to go back to writing, studying, and making it happen for myself. I'm 25 and I'm kind of given up. LOL. So thank you. I think all of us here in this chat would tell you don't give up. All of us who are older than 25 probably remember being 25 and feeling like, what's the point? Keep going. You got this. And I see Avi has already beaten me to that. And Coffee Hooked TV says the best vlogs. Thank you so much. You all just make me so happy. Diana was the right mix of classy and sassy, especially post-divorce. Like, obviously, losing someone, someone dying at her age is really, really sad. But it really would have been like, from what we saw in just the 2 or 3 years post-divorce, just that glimpse into what the rest of her life might have been like, just from a personal identity standpoint, really, really interesting. It's very similar to what we saw from Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis after JFK's assassination, after she was no longer the first lady, how her identity kind of evolved, both when she became Jacqueline Onassis, but then also after Aristotle Onassis passed away. Like, she went through multiple kind of evolutions, and I think it's probably what we would have seen with Diana. I feel like we're kind of also seeing it to a certain extent with Meghan. Love her, hate her, feel ambivalent about her, like whatever you feel. Watching someone go from being in a very rigid official state. Michelle Obama, another classic example, her style identity post White House versus while she was the first lady. When the rule book gets thrown out the window, it is very interesting to see how these women present themselves sartorially in terms of their clothing after their official public role ends, because they're still a public face. They still have a public identity, but when they are not bound by the rules of the royal family or being an American first lady, or it's the same thing with elected officials, when they're no longer holding an elected office, it does change because the professional identity, clothing identity, is different from the personal clothing identity. As a novelist in a completely different genre who does not read a lot of contemporary romance, I appreciate you sharing your process of writing a book. That's always been really, really important to me. I don't want to just pigeonhole myself as a romance writer, because one, I also do fantasy, even though I'm not publishing in fantasy yet. But I want to make videos that focus more on, this is also why I don't do a lot of self-publishing business advice and topic videos. That being said, as I mentioned earlier in this stream, I have filmed a video on like how I market my books, but you'll see that next week. I don't want to be that specific. I want this to be a space where whatever you write, whether you are a fiction writer, a nonfiction writer, an academic writer, whatever genre of fiction you write, that there is something in the advice I give that is helpful and useful, and that whatever part of the process I'm working on, that there's something that's helpful in that for you. Because ultimately the writing process is more or less the same, no matter what you're writing. And so the process is something that I am really intentionally wanting to focus on, because I think that's much more universally helpful to the majority of you. But also that's essentially what my PhD is in. So my PhD research, my dissertation was on fashion icons and clothing and material culture and visual rhetoric and all of that stuff. But the majority of my training and my coursework, my PhD is in writing, rhetorics, and literacies. So theories of writing, theories of teaching writing, thinking about how we write and why we write, and ways of approaching writing, like that is all part of what I was trained in, what I studied, and what I currently teach. And I just think that's a little bit more interesting for me to talk about, because if I get too specific in how to write contemporary romance or things that are only really applicable to other romance writers, it's going to get boring really fast. Danny also likes the chatty vlogs. You guys understand me. And Avi, I'm glad I made you laugh with that one. I've seen that in a lot of Instagram comments when someone's like, I'm unfollowing you because of XYZ. There's always someone who pops up in a reply of, thanks. It's not an airport. You don't have to announce your departure. Love your vlog styles, length, and all. Love the hikes in AZ Desert. I really want to try to go hiking before the trip at least once if I can wake up early enough, because I have not been hiking in ages. Actually, can I wake up early enough to go tomorrow? Because it's only 82 degrees out there right now. We had a high of 83, which that hold for 1 second, and I will give you the Celsius of that. 28. We had a high of 28 today. So tomorrow morning, yeah, it's only going to be 62, which would be pretty nice. So if I can wake up early enough, I might try to go hiking tomorrow. And I am vlogging at the moment, so that would be in a vlog. But yeah, I can't wait for winter to come back. I mean, I've got to wait a long time for that, but I'm already looking forward to hiking this winter. Author Michelle, I understand the feeling. I just got into vlogging my writing journey and it's been a blast. Honestly, as a writer as well, having that documentation of working on all these books, like there's so much that I didn't get to vlog because I wasn't vlogging yet. Like I didn't start my channel until 2016. And so there's things I'm like, I wish I'd started vlogging sooner so that I would have a visual record of these things. So I'm really, really glad that I didn't start self-publishing until after I started my YouTube channel, because all of my books, essentially, A Brave Start was already written, but the entire editing and publishing journey I have documented, and then all of my other books since A Brave Start, I have the entirety of each of those books documented. And yeah, the FaceTime with a friend is your sweet spot. Sometimes it's 20 minutes, sometimes it's an hour. Gossip catch-up time will vary. Exactly. I love those kinds of vlogs. Like, it is fun as a vlogger and as a content creator to try to come up with some sort of theme or message or story for a vlog that the whole vlog kind of revolves around that. But some days I just want to be able to pick up the camera and talk. So yeah, I love that you all love those vlogs. They don't always perform as well, but they tend to have a higher view duration because the people who are watching them are watching all of it. They're not turning off halfway through. Just subscribed. Thank you so much. I love it. I've just noticed we've got 67 people on the stream. Please give the stream a thumbs up if you're enjoying it. This has definitely turned into chatty. I don't think we're going to do any writing today. So apologies to anyone who thought we were going to do some writing, but honestly, I really just needed to chat with you all. Yes, keep going. 38 here and debut is coming. You can do it. Yes, going back to the other commenter, who 25, I just keep coming back to that. You're still so young. You might not feel like it, but you are still so young. And when I think of everything I did after the age of 30, like I did a second master's degree, I did my PhD, I started my YouTube channel, I started self-publishing, and have now done almost 10 published books. All of that after the age of 30. So your best years are still coming, I promise you. Diana has become such a historical figure. I am still amazed every time I remember she is not an old historical figure and she has living children and grandchildren, and then that makes me sad. Yeah, I mean, I remember we had only just moved to Arizona. We'd been here for like a week or two when she passed, and I remember coming home and seeing it on the news. We'd gone out to dinner or something, and it was breaking news on TV that evening. As someone who grew up with her, growing up in the 80s, like she and Charles announced their engagement or got engaged. I think they announced it on my birthday and then they got married later that year. So I don't remember their wedding, but like I grew up with pictures of their wedding. And then I was a teenager when they got divorced. I was never someone who like had a crush on Prince William, even though like he is around my age. But it is wild to think that, you know, she would be, I think, in her 60s now. Like she would still be alive now. She's not someone who would have died of old age by this point. And so it is really sad when you think of that. Same thing with other, people who were killed, died, whatever, at a young age. Sometimes what seems like history isn't actually that long ago. I can imagine it's a lot of work, but your Christmas vlogs are so cute and cozy. The community here is amazing. I am so grateful for this community. One, like you all are the best. Every creator thinks they've got the best audience. I have the best audience. You all are the best. I love that it does feel like a community and not like subscriber and creator kind of a thing. I never wanted it to feel like that. Every now and then someone says, "Oh, I'm such a fan of yours." I don't want to have fans. I want to have friends. You all are my YouTube friends. And that's how I see you. I'm no better than you. You all are special and unique and amazing. Even though I don't know you each individually, I know that you're still special and wonderful. And I'm just so grateful that you want to spend any of your time with me. And yes, Vlogmas is so much work, but I love it. I think the one change I'm going to make this year, now that I've done 10 years of Vlogmas in the more than traditional way, like you get more vlogs out of me in Vlogmas, I think the one change I'm going to make is I'm going to pre-film like 5 vlogs. And they will probably be writing vlogs that I will film in October and November of writing the Patreon Advent series for this year. So they'll still be festive. They'll still be like cozy writing vlogs, but I will be able to pre-film those and then just have a few days off in December. And I'd probably still vlog those days, at least some of them. I would just then combine them with another day so that you're still seeing every day in December. I'm just not having to edit every day in December because it is a lot. It's a lot. Diana is like Marilyn, won't ever age and becomes a youthful icon. Yeah, and I think also, like, this is a whole other PhD dissertation topic. I think also with someone like Marilyn, this really happened with Diana more so than Marilyn, but it's not just that they become this youthful icon that never really ages, but it's also Diana kind of has become almost a saint for some people. Like we no longer remember, we don't see her. A lot of people I see talking about her online, we saw this so much in the online rhetoric around Meghan Markle and what Diana would have thought of Meghan and stuff, and like pitting Catherine and Meghan against each other, and like implying that Diana would have liked Catherine more than Meghan, and all really problematic, messed up stuff. People no longer really want to see Diana as a full, complex human being with flaws. And, you know, she wasn't a villain, but she wasn't perfect either. She was a human being. And it would have been really interesting to see how the dynamic and conversation, especially online in an age of social media, what might have transpired over the years with Charles and Camilla and Catherine and Meghan and all of these people as the royal family, and Andrew even, you know, really problematic members of the family like that, how Diana would have played into that, and how her reputation would have changed and evolved over the years. But because she died so young, she kind of gets frozen in time. And we really only remember her in a very specific, almost sanctified way, if that makes sense. That's something else that's always fascinated me about Diana. And Marilyn is kind of like that. We really only remember Marilyn in a very specific context, in a very specific way. And in her death, she's never been allowed to be viewed in any way outside of that. And people really push back and get upset if you try to discuss her in any other kind of more complex way. If your channel hadn't changed, I would have never found you. Yeah. You know, it's why I've never fought changing the channel. Why I never tried to stay a PhD grad student YouTuber. Like, I've just let the channel evolve as my life has evolved. I would love to read a book about American first ladies and their clothing after office. I still haven't read it, but Michelle Obama's new book, The Look, I'm really interested in reading that because it kind of does cover her clothing during her time as a first lady as well as her time after. And I think some people, trying to think of the books I read during my dissertation, there have been some discussions and overviews of Jacqueline, but not a really good one. Not a really good one. And for my dissertation, I was really only looking at her time in office. I think, you know, for a dissertation, you're always limited in what you can do. So I was just looking at two looks, two outfits for each woman. So for Jacqueline Kennedy, I looked at her inauguration outfit and I looked at the pink suit the day of the assassination. And for Diana, I looked at her wedding dress and then the dress that's dubbed the revenge dress, which is a little black cocktail dress that she wore after the separation. And she wore it the night that like a big interview was being aired with the then Prince Charles. It was really a kind of stealing his limelight kind of a thing, knowing that the next day then all the front pages would be a picture of her in that dress and not coverage of his interview, which is why it got dubbed the revenge dress. And then for Michelle Obama, I looked at her inauguration gown, and I think her inauguration gown and her now I have to go look at my dissertation. The ball gown and the suit that she wore on inauguration day. And Catherine, I looked at, I think it was her wedding dress and the blue dress that she wore when she and William announced their engagement, and then the wedding dress. I think that's what I like analyzed in detail. But yeah, it's an author, a writer, she's a journalist, she's on YouTube, a woman named Elizabeth Holmes, not to be confused with the blood entrepreneur. She was thinking that she could like diagnose cancer from one blood drop, fraudster Elizabeth Holmes. But a very normal, sane woman named Elizabeth Holmes, who is a journalist. She wrote a book on royal style, and I think she looks at Queen Elizabeth II, Meghan Markle, Catherine, and Diana, I think. So those are two books I would probably recommend if you're wanting to like dive deeper into that. I discovered your channel on Christmas and I just love the cozy vibes. Thank you. I usually avoid vloggers that live in sunny places because I love the fall, wintry, cozy vibes. But so do you. Yes, I wish I lived somewhere a little less sunny because I also love the cozy fall, wintry vibes. I do my best and I do my best to at least maximize the desert scenery when it is cooler and I can get out and enjoy it. So we broke records here in BC, Canada. It was 37 degrees Celsius here yesterday. I mean, what the heck is going on? Europe, like, has been having a massive heat wave lately. And so it's been really hot in London. And looking at the forecast, I'm like, please cool down, please cool down, please cool down. It is looking like it's going to cool back down to normal and like really beautiful temperatures by the time I arrive, because I do not want it to be hot when I'm there. I'm sure in the 5 weeks ish that I'm going to be over there will be another heat wave, but I'm hoping it'll be relatively nice. So 10 years on YouTube, 10 novels published. That's remarkable. I discovered your channel through Scrivener for Academics, which was 7 years ago. That is one of, if not, I think that's my second. Let me look on YouTube really quick. Popular videos. That is my second highest viewed video. That one's currently up to 78,000 views. Although the viral video from last year is giving it a close run for its money. So Scrivener for Academics has taken 7 years to get to 78,000 views. How I Wrote 10 Novels with a Full-Time Job is at 71,000 views in only 6 months. YouTube is wild, y'all. Would you consider doing a reaction to your very first video? Yes, I really, really want to do that. I wanted to do that in April around the time of my 10-year anniversary. I'm probably gonna have to wait and do it when I get back from the trip. But I know I have watched it in the past 10 years, but I think it's been like at least 7 or 8 years since I've watched it. I haven't watched it for a very long time. So I do want to watch it and react to it. Definitely. So that will be coming eventually. Have you ever considered making a second channel or something else you'd love to make videos about, not related to writing / self-publishing? I don't think I have the bandwidth to do a second channel and make content for both. I have thought about, like in the past, I've thought about doing a channel where I could do like video essays based on my research, and talk about fashion and history and material culture and visual rhetoric and sartorial rhetoric and all of these things. And those sorts of channels have definitely gotten a bit more popular over the last several years since I started. Like no one that I saw was really making videos like that when I first started. But I think it would be really interesting to do something like that. Or I've also thought about doing more of like a podcast style YouTube channel. But again, I don't know. I don't know when I would have time. And so I've thought about doing some of those things, like doing more of a podcast type thing on this channel. And I would like to use the live streams in that way, kind of like a live podcast where I have a topic, we just talk about it. or I have a guest come on, like a fellow writer, fellow author, and I kind of interview them. But then I don't have to edit it, because it's like, that's the thing, additional channels, all these, it's still content that needs to be edited. And I'm already stretched a little bit too thin. Hearing you say that encourages me so much. I'm 32 and just started writing. I have so much time to achieve so many things. I didn't write my first novel, the original draft of Project Darkness, book 1. I wrote that when I was 29, and I started writing A Brave Start, which is my first romance novel. I started writing that when I was 30, and then I didn't start publishing until I was 38. And now I've written 9 novels that have been published since age 38. And I have 1 novel that is unpublished. The Royal Romance draft is unpublished, and another novel essentially that I wrote in 1 month for Patreon. So yeah, I promise you, those of you who are in your mid to late 20s, early to mid 30s, you still have so much time ahead of you. It might not feel like it, but you do. You really, really do. Des says, what I thought I'd be writing at 25 or wanted to in my 20s changed significantly in my 30s, and then even more now in my 40s. Yep, absolutely. To completely agree. I can't imagine falling in love with a royal. The rules, the etiquette, the paparazzi, the tabloids. It seems almost traumatic if you're a private person who values their anonymity. Yeah. I make a joke in Across the Pond, book 4, where Jonathan and Celeste are talking, and Celeste is looking up Reese and Aiden, who you meet in book 4. They're also both in the Patreon Christmas story. And at some point, Celeste is talking about the prince from my Real Romance series does make a brief appearance as a little cameo in book 4. His name is Prince Freddie. And so I make a joke in there of, would Celeste be attracted to someone like Prince Freddie? And either Celeste or Jonathan, one of them makes the joke that she'd be better off with a billionaire like Reese or Aiden, because they at least have more privacy. So yeah, like, I love writing royal romance. It's really fun, but I could never. I love Diana, but I'm aware of the idealization of her and ignoring her human flaws, which definitely suggests a poignant mortality not many people like to acknowledge or feel. Yeah, absolutely agree. And something that I just find really fascinating in the peanut gallery crowd in Instagram comment sections talking about her, the way they talk about her, the way they seem like they know her, the parasocial relationship that so many people, especially my age or a little older than me, the people that are either like me who grew up watching Diana, or the people who were the same age as Diana, the parasocial relationship that they had and continue to have with Diana, I find absolutely fascinating. And the psychology behind that probably needs to be studied, because it's wild to me. Wild because with Marilyn also, everyone romanticizes her beauty and life, but she wasn't born looking the way we remember her. She was complicated and struggled mentally. Her life isn't one to envy. I don't think either of them is a life that is one to envy. Again, it's like when you have this weird parasocial relationship with these figures, you're only focusing on the good things. You're not really letting yourself be aware of their complicated life and personality. Maybe Diana is more like Grace Kelly. Grace Kelly is another one who's very similar in this role in society and the way that we think about them and the way their image has aged or not aged. Grace Kelly was older when she died, and like had teenage children, if not slightly adult children, and had kind of faded from public view just a little bit. Like she wasn't still as famous as like Diana was at the time of her death. But very similar in terms of like, we really, when you see pictures of Grace Kelly now, they're almost all of her life either right before she married into royalty or immediately after marrying into royalty. We really don't see any images of her towards the end of her life. The way her memory has been preserved has been like a very specific snapshot in time. Her and Diana's lives are both heartbreaking in various seasons. Yeah. I find the same thing with others. A lot of historical figures are very, very similar. Theranos, thank you. I knew one of you would understand who I'm talking about. JC Carpenter is here. I'm a little bit behind on the chat because I'm talking so much, but you are like, this is a really fun conversation. A bunch of conversations. It's like my ADHD brain just bouncing around is having so much fun with this chat. You did not miss the whole stream. You have missed an hour or so, hour and 30 minutes or so, of just this random chat. We've not been doing any writing. I don't think we're going to do any writing, but I have needed this, so I hope this has been fun for some of you. That is a niche detail I like about your videos. I live in a beach and sunny city in Mexico, and finding this cozy vlogger in this sunny city who clearly loves London alike cities really resonated. Yeah, like I try to show off Arizona as much as I can, and like take you hiking with me and stuff. But I am not made for the desert. Like even just my historical ancestry is almost all of it is like Northern Europe, like high up in terms of latitude. So Alyssa is here. Thank you for the stream. Thanks for joining us. I find it a delicate balance between the long hours sitting to write a novel and getting outside to move my body to stay healthy. Yeah, I struggle with that, especially in the summer when it is so hot and I literally can't go out unless I wake up right at sunrise. And even then, by July and August, even right at sunrise, it's still really hot. So it is important to still get out. Desiree, when I start hitting up people for author interviews, you are top of my list, my darling. I just want to get you on a live stream with me and just chat about writing and publishing. I have not been to physical therapy in a long time, but I really need to because yes, writer's posture is a thing. And your podcast. I love that you guys like that idea because I think it would be really fun. And I've got a lot of writer friends. So, and I'd love to find writer friends who aren't just fiction writers. Because I know not all of you are fiction writers. And so I think it would be fun. I've got friends who are writers in all different kinds of writing. And so I think that would be really fun to just a kind of live podcast chat about writing. I love that so many of you are talking about weather. This is another thing. I have found my people that you all will talk about the weather along with me. Being a nerdy woman in a very partying, sunny kind of city is an experience. I hard relate to that. Particularly because I live in Scottsdale, Arizona, which Scottsdale is kind of known a bit more for being not necessarily a party place, but like it is an area where everyone's going out to like the newest brunch spot or the newest coffee shop or going out to a club or a bar. I'm tired. Like brunch I can do, but also I can't afford to go out to brunch all the time. Scottsdale is a very affluent area. I'm just kind of lucky that I found an apartment that is actually fairly affordable for me. Otherwise, this would not be where I live. But everyone around me, it feels like they're all in their Lululemon or Alo yoga on their way to yoga or Pilates. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just here I am in my apartment with my air conditioning, with my pretty peonies and my cable knit sweater when it's 83 degrees outside. Again, I was not built for this place. My parents were the ones who decided to retire here, and I just haven't been able to get out. One day I will leave Arizona, just not yet. Tired Mama, 22. I'm 38 and have made a promise to myself that I will publish my first book by my 40th birthday. You can do it. You can absolutely do it. Nara Lane says, I'm going to be 40 next month. I was really hoping to publish this year. There's still time. I also would say, as Tired Mama says in the next comment, even if I miss that deadline, I'm still going to keep going. Even if you miss your deadlines, it just means you need more time. Sometimes, like, part of me is glad I published A Brave Start when I did. Part of me kind of looks back and feels like, I think you rushed the editing process. Like, I think giving yourself a little bit more time might have been better. So, if you can meet those deadlines, cool. But if you can't, it just means your story needed more time, and there's nothing wrong with that. So interesting, parasocial, fellow 80s child. The boy band craze, actor/royal crushes was wild. Yes. And we were on the cusp of social media. So our obsession was fed by teen magazines, not social media. The number of posters I had in the early 90s of New Kids on the Block. Probably shouldn't say anything more than that, but my room was wallpapered. New Kids on the Block, and then by the mid to late 90s, Jonathan Brandis from Sequest. Please, someone validate me in the comments. Let me know that I was not the only teen in the mid 90s with a crush on Jonathan Brandis. So sad that he passed away so young, but loved him. My first actor crush, though, was probably Will Wheaton from Star Trek Next Generation. My dad watched that show. My mom and dad watched that show all the time. And I loved Will Wheaton as Wesley Crusher. And I had a total girl crush on Gates McFadden, who played his mom, Dr. Beverly Crusher. I loved that character so much. Have you considered taking a sabbatical and going to London? So I don't qualify for a sabbatical from my job. But one thing I'm hoping, and kind of what I'm doing this year with this trip, is I'm kind of treating it as like a sabbatical writing retreat. I'll be working on my projects as well as traveling around and visiting things, but everything's going to be very focused on doing things that kind of feed me and my soul as a writer, as an author, as a reader. So I'm kind of treating it as a like sabbatical writing retreat in that way. And I would like to get to a point where I can afford to do this every summer, where and for a longer amount of time. So like this trip is about 5 weeks long. The main reason I can be gone that long is because I'm staying with my friend Tamsin for 3 weeks. So I'm not having to pay for a hotel for that whole time. But I'm open in the future if I can find a flat that I can rent, or something like that. And I've done that in the past. In 2015, I found a place that was relatively affordable that did leases for a minimum of 3 months. And so I just rented this flat. It was a shared flat situation. I had my own room, but then the kitchen and bathrooms were shared between me and 6 other people in the unit. It was all women there. So if I could find something like that again, where I could afford to just go and be there for 3 months for the entire summer break, I would totally do that. I'm always celebrating when it's cold and rainy and my family stare at me like, seriously? Yeah, same. Author Michelle, AZ native here. I think the heat completely changed how I use up my daylight hours. Work either early in the morning or late at night. Yeah, like I like working at my desk in the middle of the day, but now that right now I'm not waking up that early. My sleep schedule has gotten really messed up. But when I was waking up early and what I want to get back to, being able to go out and run my errands before 9 a.m., before it starts getting really hot, is great. And then kind of opening up the windows and getting some natural daylight towards the very end of the day before the sun sets. Otherwise, like, this window is completely blacked out. These blinds behind me are closed. Right now, the window on the door onto my balcony is a big sliding glass door. I've got those blinds open, but earlier in the day, I'll keep those closed. And I don't like that the sun stays up so late. Not into it. Not into it at all. I used to live in Edmonton, and the weather changed so much that it wasn't a conversation starter. It was a legitimate topic of conversation. I mean, there are so many people who move to Arizona because they love the weather in the winter. But it is very, very common to hear us complaining about the heat and how hot it is in the summer. And Des is saying she lives in South Florida and relates so hard. I'm not meant for tropics or party city life. Yeah. Like, Arizona, especially in the winter, is a big place where people come to just kind of have the blue skies and sunshine and palm trees when it's, 2 feet of snow back where they live. And so they come here just ready to party, and I can't do it. Me growing here wearing cardigans and ankle boots in the 90-degree humid heat and being judged. I always say here in Arizona, like, when the temperature drops below like 80 degrees in like fall semester, you'll start seeing girls walking around campus in their boots and their sweaters, not because it's cold enough to need those things, but because it's finally cool enough that we can wear them and not absolutely die. So the writing wolf, Jonathan Brandis on Sequest. OMG, I happily validate your feelings. Yes. I'm glad I'm not alone. Desiree, New Kids Pillow, mid-90s Wall to Wall, NSYNC, Devin Sawa. I never really got into NSYNC or Devin. I feel like I just slightly aged out of them. But Jonathan Brandis, I loved him so much. And yeah, I didn't have the New Kids on the Block bedding. My best friend did. She had the like pillowcase and comforter and sheet set. But I had tons of posters from the teen magazines, and I had some of the dolls, and I had the stage set thing that came with musical instruments and microphones and stuff for all of them. And slight, like, not claim to fame, but like, fun fact, cool thing about me, New Kids on the Block was my first ever concert. I saw them in 1989 in Frankfurt, Germany, because we were living nearby Frankfurt at the time. And I actually didn't see Donnie. Donnie Wahlberg was not in attendance because he had like sprained his ankle or something. So it was just the rest of them, not him. And I remember thinking, like, he couldn't like just sit on a stool and sing. I don't need to see him dance, but like, come on. Was never a music person, loved whatever was the latest top 10 on the radio, but happy for it to change every week. Didn't own any kind of players or iPod. Yeah, we were always into music. I got my first boombox at age 10 and started collecting CDs and had a bunch of CDs. Any love for David Duchovny? I never got into the X-Files. Like I did watch some movies with him in the 90s. There was one he did with Minnie Driver that I really liked. That was really cute and sweet. But yeah, I had friends who were obsessed with X-Files, but I never got into X-Files. And I feel like that's the main thing he was doing at the time. So I just never really developed a crush on him, but I had friends who did. Avi, Jonathan Brandis, my crush too. I was obsessed with him playing Bill. In the 90s. Yeah, see, I don't watch any Stephen King stuff either. I don't like horror movies. It would have totally freaked me out. But I did like Jonathan in he was in the sequel to Never Ending Story. Loved that. Loved the first movie. Let me know in the chat who else is a Never Ending Story generation. I was listening to like in essential 80s hits on Apple Music, and the theme song for Never Ending Story was one of the songs including in that list. And I'm like, I don't remember it being such a hit on the radio, but it must have been to be included on that Essentials playlist. And of course, I still remembered all the words to sing along to it. So hence no posters on my walls. I'm a late diagnosed minimalist. Nothing wrong with that. I worked with a researcher that used conferences as retreats. He would present and spend the rest of the time writing, fully funded with research grants. That is an excellent idea. That is an excellent idea. Me hiding my face in shame because I had to Google Jonathan Brandis. And I'm like, ooh, I remember him. Yeah, I feel like he's kind of faded from the public memory, but every now and then something will pop up on YouTube or something. I'm glad I'm not the only one who loved Wesley Crusher and Karate Kid. Yes. Yeah, I'm sure I watched Casper, but Casper and Little Giants weren't ever movies that I got really, really into. JTT and Paul Walker. Yes. JTT was everything. Andrew Pockets. If you're interested in this project, definitely check out the Peoria Library. They have that's interesting. That's really a free podcast studio to use. See, I don't know that I think I would just I use the term podcast lightly. I really think it would just be like me and someone else having a conversation on a YouTube live, like more focused than what this has been, and probably like limit myself to like an hour and 15 minutes. I don't want to have to edit anything. I do enough video editing. I don't want to have to edit anything else. But that's really interesting to know that they have a free podcast studio that people can use. That's awesome. +1 for Devin Sawa, crush, but admittedly I was not a teen in the 90s. I first saw him in Night of the Twisters and then in Born to Be Wild. That's interesting. Finally home, just made dinner, but don't want what I made. I hate that feeling, ordering gyros and going to write. Hope our chatting or my chatting primarily isn't going to distract you from writing. We're not getting any writing done. I probably should go soon. It is 4:00 now, and we've been streaming for over 2 hours. When I was a teen, Joey was my fave. For me, Avi, twins. You and I are like twins. Jonathan was... I had such a crush on Jonathan, and my best friend had a crush on Jordan. And in our little preteen minds, we were just so convinced that one day we would marry each of them and then be sisters-in-law. I mean, Jonathan, it turns out I am not his type, if you know what I mean. But I do love the fact that one of my first really significant crushes is now living with his husband in New England, restoring old New England farmhouses. Just I picked the right one in terms of like the passion for old historic farmhouses, because that is that just makes me still love him even now. Um, I had a friend who had a song about David Duchovny. She was obsessed. Yeah. Um, I've not read the book. I bet the book for the Never Ending Story is really good, but I am definitely, as the writing wolf says, Never Ending Story gave me such nightmares as a child. But I mean, how many of us 80s kids were completely traumatized by that movie? The scene with the horse, because I was a huge horse girl growing up. I was obsessed with horses. I would draw horses in my notebooks, loved horses. So that scene, and if you've seen that movie, you know what scene I'm talking about. That movie traumatized me. I've not really been able to watch it since, but it's such a like pivotal moment in my childhood development. I'm pretty sure I saw it in the movie theater as well. I wanted a flying dog like Falcor because of the Never Ending Story. A friend of mine, she used to be on YouTube. We still follow each other on Instagram. She has a little white fluffy dog that she named Falcor, and it does look a little bit like Falcor in that movie. I'm sure we had it on VHS. Dirty Dancing is another icon classic 80s film. I was probably way too young to watch that movie when it came out. Still watched that movie. There are some movies that I remember and I'm like, why did my parents let me watch this? Like, I feel like Dirty Dancing, Pretty Woman, Top Gun, some of those movies, I feel like I was way too young to watch them when I first watched them, but love them so much. Still love Will Wheaton, read his blog regularly. I think he also has a podcast, or he's been on a bunch of podcasts. I know that Jonathan Frakes and Brent Spiner of Star Trek fame, they now have a podcast. They also put videos up on YouTube. I watched I think it was their first episode. They had, why am I blanking on his name? Reading Rainbow. And played Geordi in Star Trek. Someone in the chat help me out. That's gonna bug me. One of you will remember. It's right on the tip of my brain. You know who I'm talking about. LeVar Burton, thank you. I've got one chat popped up on my other monitor, and then the live chat, like one chat I'm behind on, one chat I'm watching pop up live. So I'm looking at the live one to be like, someone's going to save me. LeVar Burton. And so watching just the three of them talking about their careers and their time on Star Trek, love it. Between Devon Sawa and Casper and people ordering heroes because they hate the energy in this chat is immaculate today. I'm glad you guys are enjoying it. I'm having so much fun, honestly. I'm going to have to put a warning for the replay crew just to say, like, nothing productive happens. This is just 2 hours and 7 minutes now of just random chat. But this is the most fun I've had in a while. I feel like now that the book is done, I'm ready to just party and relax and not have a deadline hanging over for me. I'm glad my family, that was something we watched, Home Improvement as a family. That was one of the shows that we would watch as a family. My mom liked it. My dad liked it. My sister and I liked it. So Restoring New England Farmhouses is a novel waiting to be written. Yeah, I think it airs on HGTV. But it's also on HBO Max, so that's where I've watched it. I just love watching a show. Some of the final designs are a bit generic and bland for me. It's like, if you want a modern house, why are you buying a historic New England farmhouse? Like, just go buy like an 80s version of a farmhouse and make that. Anyway, we won't go down that rant. Yeah. The horse, I wept. Yes. The horse scene is traumatizing in the book as well. Maybe I won't read the book then. Oh my gosh, that scene just wrecked me as a child. My sister and I still talk about that movie and that scene in particular, and like the generational trauma that it inflicted on us. Um, I think a lot of girls go through their horse phase or some other animal, but like I think almost all of us have probably gone through some phase where we were obsessed with one animal or another. For me, it was definitely horses. Yeah, I don't know why child me tortured myself by watching it so much. I can't watch that horse scene now. Yeah. I need to watch Dirty Dancing again too, and Pretty Woman. I've been wanting to rewatch that. I haven't watched that one in ages, but that movie is so good and such a classic. And like, considering what it's about, like, it's funny that I liked it so much. But I love Gary Marshall as a director. They do not make rom-coms the same way anymore. And I honestly feel bad for the younger generation now who are getting the kind of rom-coms they're getting now. Like, they missed out. Like, some of these movies need to be mandatory viewing for everyone under the age of 30. While I loved Dirty Dancing Swayze, Ghost Swayze is my fave. Ghost is, I don't think I've ever watched it in its entirety, and it's one I probably should watch, because I love everyone involved. Yes, I was way too young to be watching the Dirty Dancing VHS at least once a day, every day for a long time, since 6 years old. Again, there's something about growing up in the 80s and 90s. Rules did not apply to us in the same way that I feel like kids are so heavily controlled now. There's pros and cons to that. There are absolutely pros and cons to that. Danny agrees that Ghost was so good. I will say, there will be no, I'm not doing, even though Bryn's story is going to be based around the pottery shop, I don't think there will be any sort of ghost pottery scene reenactment in that book. I just feel like that's a little bit too cliche, and I should probably stay away from that. The fact the whole cast of The Next Generation is still friends tickles me pink. Yes, I love that. I absolutely love that they're all still friends and they all still hang out. And apparently it sounds like Will Wheaton was actually like dealing with a lot behind the scenes in terms of his family relationship and like parents of a celebrity kid and stuff. Like, he was one of the kids that kind of really had a negative experience with that. And it sounds like the cast members on that show really kind of stepped up and kind of were those parental figures and have supported him throughout the years since. It just makes me so happy to hear that. Yeah, I should not have been allowed to watch Dirty Dancing when it first came out. I was a child, but I watched it multiple times even before becoming a teenager. Yeah, that, and for me, Top Gun. Top Gun is not a kids movie at all, but it played frequently in my house because my dad loved the fighter jet scenes. And like, I was not at an age where I was having crushes on people, really. And like, I didn't have a crush on Tom Cruise exactly in that movie. But I just remember the beach volleyball scene in that movie. Like, I should not have been as intrigued by that scene as I was. Like, I just knew, like, those are some really cute boys. But yeah, oh my gosh, growing up in the 80s. Yeah, not the horse scene from Neverending Story. Talk about a universal childhood scar. Seriously. Danny, you needed this chatty chill, no writing time. We got you. Thank you. You all are the best. I mean, I did get, where are we at? I got 1,140 words written in the March chapter that is overdue for Ava and Luke. So, Ava and Luke, just FYI, this will be coming to Patreon for the paid members, hopefully in the next few days. Ava and Luke are back in London. Very happy to be writing them back in London. The LA scenes were fun, but we all know these two were meant to be in London. Although Luke is probably griping about it a little bit because, like, March, London, still going to be colder than LA. But yeah, I'm having fun writing that. But yeah, after an afternoon of writing in the coffee shop, I did feel like I needed to come on here and just chat if you all wanted to chat with me. Des says, this chat healed my grumpy PMS and headache. Good. I'm glad. Mission accomplished. When I joined, all I saw was Chatty Life update, not the writing sprints, and I was totally there for it. I knew I had to put that on in the thumbnail just as a warning for people. I thought maybe we would do like one sprint and then you all were just here for the chat. So I'm good with that. Given your background, I would be interested in a video by you on incorporating fashion in novels while avoiding descriptive info dumps. Where's a sticky note? That needs to go on a sticky note because that is an interesting topic. I think that's a very niche topic. It probably wouldn't perform very well, but I would like to talk about it. How to incorporate fashion in novels while and if this was a vlog, I'd be editing all this silence out, but it's live, so I can't do that. Okay, sticky note. This will happen eventually. Just give me some time. I think it would also be good to talk about how to write description in general without having just a massive info dump, like how to describe place and setting and season and all of these things. Because that's something that's very important in my writing. And I do like talking about what characters are wearing and stuff, because with my background, I know how important clothing is to character. But yeah, that would be a really interesting video topic to talk about. So thank you for that. Andrew's disclaimer for the replay crew: no writing, but plenty of chat, sure to make the 80s child in you scream with joy. Yep. We watched Home Improvement 2. JC says nobody puts baby in the corner. Exactly. Lisa Frank probably had us more obsessed with horses. Do I have my Lisa Frank stickers? Some of you probably remember that for a while, Mom and I were cleaning out. Yes, I do. Mom and I were cleaning out the garage. We're still working on that. But look at the gold mine that I found in one of the boxes. I need to let myself use these, at least the ones that I have multiple sheets of. But yes, Lisa Frank, definitely a huge part of me being obsessed with horses. So yeah, love Lisa Frank so much. I had a Lisa Frank. Who else had, let me know in the comments, who else had a Lisa Frank Trapper Keeper for school? I'm really aging myself there, but I feel like I am among friends who will understand me. I think everyone is a horse girl or a dolphin girl at some point. Yes. It's like, which are you, a horse girl or a dolphin girl? Because you probably fall into one of those categories. Marilyn, no, they do not. Rom-coms are not the same as they were in the 90s and the early 2000s. I honestly think they peaked by like the mid 2000s. Honestly, I think they peaked with The Holiday in, I think that was 2005, 2006. From that point on, I don't think there's a rom-com after The Holiday that I loved as passionately as I love The Holiday. 80s, 90s rom-com era was a time. Yes, yes, it was. Please stream while watching Dirty Dancing. That would be a fun thing to do. That would have to be like a Patreon only stream so that like I don't have to worry about copyright and stuff. Ghost is one that I really should watch. There are a few movies from the 80s and 90s that I missed and that I'm like, I really should go back and watch because I've probably seen all of the scenes just out of order because like I'll catch bits on like TV on cable and syndication and stuff. Dirty Dancing was my favorite when it was released in theaters 20 years later. All the women in my grad program went and watched it together. I love that. I absolutely love that. I remember when Gone with the Wind was re-released in the theater. I was probably the youngest person there. And like Gone with the Wind, problematic in a lot of ways. And not a movie to glorify. I feel like I just need to say that. Not a movie to glorify, but from a film history standpoint, still a really important film to study. And so I wanted to be able to see it on the big screen because certainly from a costume design standpoint, that movie is iconic. But I was the youngest one there, I think. And I remember walking out either at the intermission or at the end because that movie's long and they did an intermission just like they did when that movie first came out. This elderly man behind me was like, so something like, you young kids, you probably don't appreciate someone like Clark Gable. And I said, no, Clark Gable's pretty great, but I'm more of a Gene Kelly girl myself. Because unbeknownst to him, my grandmother had me obsessed with movies from like the 30s, 40s, and like early 50s. So my teen years, I watched a lot of classic films, a ton of classic films. Singing in the Rain is probably one of my all-time favorite movies that I will watch and rewatch over and over. Like, why did our parents let us watch? I mean, often my parents were watching it with me. And like the first time I would watch it, I think my parents did like hide my eyes or fast forward or something. But, eventually you're watching these movies all the time and they just stop doing that. 80s kids were unhinged, but we made it, y'all. The music and movies was our third parent. Exactly. Did anyone hear of this movie that came out around the same time called Cry Baby with Johnny Depp and Ricky Lake? Yes. I mean, I'm not a Johnny Depp fan. I never was and definitely am not now. But I do remember that movie. I watched it at least once or twice. It was popular with a lot of my friends, I think. I'm such an outsider. I'm an Alien, Star Wars, Blade Runner. I mean, I grew up on Star Wars. We had Star Wars on both VHS and on Laserdisc. Because there was a brief moment. My parents have always been into like computers and technology and stuff. And so we had a Laserdisc machine for the brief moment that Laserdisc was like the cutting edge technology. I wasn't as into Aliens because Aliens was too scary for me. But Star Wars, I definitely grew up on the original Star Wars trilogy, as well as Star Trek, both movies with the original Star Trek cast, but then Next Generation, and then the movies with the Next Generation cast. My parents are huge sci-fi fans. My dad is obsessed with Dune. So yeah, those weren't my preferences, but they were definitely part of the family. Live stream or Netflix party with Andrea might be fun. It probably would be. Another one's Jurassic Park scared me too much. It just looked like it was too many jump scares, too many thriller moments. I could probably watch it now, but at the time, I was not a scary movie girl at all. Everyone was either a horse girl or a dolphin girl. Call out is painfully accurate, especially with Lisa Frank fueling the addiction. Let's be real. Half of us only became romance writers so we could eventually write a rugged hero who owns a ranch just to satisfy our inner horse girl. Yeah. Farm Shop of Second Chances. That is me satisfying my inner horse girl. Because Molly is a horse girl. So I put all of that into that book. Okay, Romancing the Stone is really good. And like, I'm not really a Michael Douglas fan, but I did like Romancing the Stone, and also Death Becomes Her. That's also a classic. So looks like Barbara has had to leave us. I really should wrap this up, but it's probably going to take me another 30 minutes to wrap it up because we all know me. More love for Romancing the Stone. I love using clothing and color coding for my characters. Yeah, I did color theory, so now I put, yeah, color theory is interesting. And it is something, color theory, color symbolism is something I usually pay attention to. Names and meanings of names, I always pay attention to. I will always look up the meaning of someone's name, and if I feel like the meaning or symbolism of their name is completely opposite of the character, I will either pick a new name, or I will then bring that up and make that part of their like character arc. I had a Lisa Frank Trapper Keeper and a folder plus some stickers. Yep. Des. Of course I had a Lisa Frank Trapper Keeper. I found one of my old Trapper Keepers when Mom and I were going through the garage. Oh my gosh, those were the days. And folders and stickers and coloring books. I felt so cool. I had to beg for that Trapper Keeper too. Yeah. Still have my Lisa Frank unicorn notebook. I have a tin somewhere that has that same like brown horse print on it. I would not have gotten rid of that, but I don't know where it went to. Of course I also love that we all grew up in different places, but we all still had a Lisa Frank Trapper. Like, Lisa Frank was global because I think I was buying mine in Germany. So how else can I keep my magazine clippings and papers together? I wish I had the Lisa Frank coloring books. The Proposal was good, but I feel like that was on the way down. It was still good, but I really do feel like 2005, 2000, that was the peak. That everything else was downhill from there. This Means War was also good, but not as good. So another obsession, yes, Gone with the Wind. Huge lover of period. I think that was probably the one that first got me into like period dramas. Gone with the Wind was cinematically an amazing film. Story-wise, like Scarlett as someone to aspire to, not so much. But problematic characters, really interesting. So yeah, that it's cinematically, in terms of the set design, the costume design, the music, the role it played historically, just very, very interesting film. And I'm really glad that they did screen it on big screens again, and that I was able to see it on the big screen, because I think that is a movie, and a lot of those big epic films from that time period were meant to be seen on a big screen, and we really only see them now on smaller screens at home. The Thornbirds, another classic. I'm glad I'm not the only one who loves Singing in the Rain. Gene Kelly, I love him. But also in Singing in the Rain, Donald O'Connor, his musical act, the song Make 'Em Laugh. I don't care how crappy of a day I have had. I don't care how down and low I am feeling. I can put on just that one scene and it will make me smile. Donald O'Connor just makes me smile. Some Kind of Wonderful. It's an 80s movie starring Eric Stoltz, Mary Stuart Masterson, and Leah Thompson, which basically started my whole friends to lovers trope obsession. I've not seen that, but I know all of those people, so I should look that up. LTJ author. Oh, you are talking my language. My mom introduced me to those movies. You are the first person, JC, in a while to bring up that movie. Imitation of Life is so good. Oh, it's a heartbreaking film. And so like ahead of its time in terms of some of what it's talking about. But oh, that movie is so good. I think I have it still on VHS somewhere. It's one that I need to get on DVD because like I want a physical copy. But Imitation of Life, it is a film that no one really talks about unless like you're really into classic Hollywood cinema. But oh my gosh, it was so, so, so good. I need to rewatch that soon-ish at some point. John Gavin, that's the actor's name. Crush on him. And I remember it was so funny, years later when I was older, I was obsessed with the soap opera, General Hospital. And one of the actresses on there, Constant something or other, she played this like really badass villainous character, Helena something or other. I can't remember her character's last name, but she was actually married in real life to John Gavin. It was just this like weird connection of, like two different eras of my life coming together. I wanted to pick an actor, actress, and binge watch their movie. I just binge watching a bunch of Julia Roberts films, a bunch of Tom Hanks films. That would be a really good idea. That would be a lot of fun. Crybaby, again, I used to do this thing where I would become obsessed with an actor and then watch as much of their filmography as I could. I mean, we don't still do that. I mean, it's hard for me to discover a new actor that I get that intrigued and obsessed with. But I was doing that well into my 30s. I won't lie. A lot of like British actors, they would finally like land on something that got big in the US. And then I would like look them up and realize they had this whole body of work from stuff they did in the UK. I do remember the original 21 Jump Street. Yeah. Pirates of the Caribbean is good. I just not a Johnny Depp fan for a variety of reasons. I was into all the old horror movies, like Anything and Everything, Bela Lugosi, Dracula, Frankenstein, The Wolfman, Son of Dracula, Bride of Dracula. Vampires is a theme. Vampires are a theme of my childhood. LOL. Yes. Those kinds of horror movies I can handle. And suspense thrillers like Hitchcock. I've watched Psycho. I think I've seen The Birds. I've seen Vertigo and Rear Window. But my favorite Hitchcock film is actually his like least Hitchcockian film. I don't know how he would say that. I loved his adaptation of Rebecca. The newer version is okay. I love Lily James as an actress. She's amazing. But the original and Kristen Stewart as Mrs. Danvers in the newer Netflix version, really good. But the original Rebecca, if you like Rebecca as a story, and I recommend reading the book as well by Daphne du Maurier. The original Hitchcock adaptation of Rebecca, though I can't remember the actress's name, but the actress who plays Mrs. Danvers in that, nightmare fuel in the best way possible. I was never really into Johnny Depp when I was younger. There's never been a time that like Johnny Depp was intriguing to me. So I've seen a lot of scenes from Edward Scissorhands because it's been referenced so many times, but I don't think I've seen the whole movie. And I've also never really, this might get me canceled on the internet. I've never really been a Tim Burton fan. I think didn't Tim Burton do Edward Scissorhands? I was never into the gothic dark stuff. My friends all were, but I just never really was. So I'm glad I'm not the only one in a chatty mood. Thank you. That makes me feel better. Yeah, keep chatting. Thank you, Des. I appreciate it. It's Edward Scissorhands. Oh, I'm also seeing What's Eating Gilbert Grape, because that's also Leonardo DiCaprio, who I've never really had a Leo moment. Like Titanic was good, but I remember at one point when that movie was coming out hearing that Matthew McConaughey had at some point been considered for Leo DiCaprio's role in Titanic, and just thinking I would have rather had Matthew McConaughey, but okay. Matthew McConaughey, like I've had moments with him. 10 Things, no, How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, another classic rom-com, and absolutely loved. Really difficult movie, heartbreaking to watch, but just brilliant performances all the way around. Matthew McConaughey was in the adaptation of John Grisham's novel, A Time to Kill. A Time to Kill? I think that's right. Oh my gosh. It was a courtroom drama set in the South. Samuel L. Jackson is in it. Excellent, excellent movie. Sleepy Hollow is one I didn't watch when it came out because it would have seemed too scary to me, but that is one that I would go back and watch because I like the story of Sleepy Hollow. Why did I only remember? I mean, 21 Jump Street was like the thing that made Johnny Depp famous in the 80s. He's Just Not That Into You was fun though. Yes, that one was good. I was also thinking 10 Things I Hate About You, which is not any of the actors we've been talking about, but that is another like classic teen movie from the 90s and early 2000s. Yeah, Sweeney Todd, like I feel like Tim Burton adapts stories that I'm just not like already not that interested in. Sweeney Todd, I've never really been interested in that as a musical. I do appreciate Tim Burton's visuals. So like when I've seen a Tim Burton thing, I do generally like it, but he just doesn't really do a lot of stories that I'm really that interested in. That being said, I know a lot of his movies have starred Helena Bonham Carter, and I adore her. I absolutely adore her. Yeah, right before 20 Teens was the end of the iconic rom-coms. We just don't really talk about many of them anymore. I saw Titanic when it first came out in the theater. Same. And that is definitely a movie that is meant to be watched in a theater. Hard agree. Yeah. No, I don't know Some Kind of Wonderful. I'm going to have to look that up. So your all caps outrage is frying me. Yeah, I'm going to have to watch that one. I don't know. I mean, I feel like with the cast you mentioned, Mary Stuart Masterson, Eric Stoltz, I feel like they weren't all, and Leah Thompson, like those weren't Brat Pack people, but they were like Brat Pack adjacent. And I was never really into, like, I know I've seen, actually, I don't think I've seen Breakfast Club. I think I've seen Pretty in Pink with Molly Ringwald. Ferris Bueller wasn't Brat Pack, but it was also like kind of that vibe. I've seen Ferris Bueller, but not my most favorite movie. So I feel like it just might have, like, paths didn't cross. But if you love it that much, maybe I should watch it. Maybe we should all just go on vacation together, run a conference room with snacks and just chat. I would be so down with that. I really would. Okay, I know it's a dark one, but Julia Roberts films that is still my favorite. Sleeping with the Enemy. Excellent. I watched that again way too many times for someone I was a teen by that point, but still, I mean, this is probably why I'm still single too. Like, I learned a lot about who to date and who not to date by watching movies like Sleeping with the Enemy. And The Pelican Brief was also excellent. John Grisham, his books adapt to screen really, really well. Oh, Mira, you know I love Richard Armitage. That was a huge fangirl deep dive for me. I had been Avi knows me so well. You're gonna get Andrea started on Richard Armitage. Here we go. I'm a few minutes behind in the chat, but here we go. But really quick. Hi, Carol. Richard Armitage. Love that man. I had been watching, in the UK it's called Spooks, here in the US it was called MI5, about British spies. And I started watching that show because of Rupert Penry Jones. Maybe that makes me shallow, but you know, it's the truth. And then I went back and like deep dived, like got the box set DVDs of the previous seasons. Already knew Matthew McFadden from Pride and Prejudice. But he's in the first couple seasons. Then Rupert Penry Jones comes in and loved him. But Rupert Penry Jones's last season in MI5, his last episode in MI5/Spooks, is Richard Armitage's first episode. And so while I thought, well, if Rupert Penry Jones isn't on the show anymore, maybe I don't need to keep watching it. Suddenly here was this new actor who I'd never seen. And I was like, I'm intrigued. I will keep watching. And then I mentioned, we'll see any other 80s, 90s, who else gets this reference. I had some friends, I still have these friends, but I was talking about Richard Armitage to some of my friends. And I was like, yeah, I found this British actor. I really like him. I'm starting to like go back and find other stuff he's done. If you haven't seen his episodes of The Vicar of Dibley with Dawn French, it's a 2-part Christmas special. It makes me laugh so much. Highly recommend it. And so my friends were like, oh, have you seen North and South? He's really good in that. And at the time, the only North and South I had seen is I think it was late 80s US TV miniseries about the Civil War with Patrick Swayze and Jonathan Frakes, 2 people who we've talked about, and Jeannie Francis, who was also on General Hospital, who was married to Jonathan Frakes. Whole, like, very iconic cast, tons of people who were hugely popular in that time. And that miniseries, it is a historical drama, but it's also, there's romance plot lines, there's a lot of sex, or like what could be shown of that on a network TV miniseries. And the friends I was talking to were all Mormon. And I was like, well, yeah, I've seen North and South, but I'm surprised you've seen North and South. They're like, oh no, it's so great. And I started to realize, I think we're talking about something different. And I said to them, you mean like the American Civil War miniseries? They're like, no, we're talking about the British miniseries based on a novel about like the North and South of England. And I was like, what is this magic you are talking about? And if Richard Armitage is in it, I need to see it. And it is now one of my favorite miniseries. So yeah, are we regretting getting me started on Richard Armitage? I have also read his first novel, Geneva. Really good. I still want to read his second novel, The Cut. I might try to pick up a copy of it when I'm over in England. But he's also, in addition to being a great actor, he is a great audiobook narrator and a great writer. And I've also seen, last thing, and then I'll stop talking about Richard Armitage. I have seen him live on stage. I was very, very lucky to get tickets when he was doing The Crucible. He played John Proctor at the Old Vic Theatre in London in 2014. My friend and I got tickets, and it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. Lisa Frank, I had every dolphin sticker. So we know you were a dolphin girl. Grew up watching Alfred Hitchcock Presents. That's awesome. Nikki says, loved Richard Armitage in North and South. North and South is so good. I watch that at least once a year. I have it on DVD. You do need to watch the original Rebecca. It is classic film. So good. The book Rebecca, I want to reread it. It's been several years since I've read it, so I would like to reread Rebecca. I've been wanting to read it the last like 2 autumns, and then other books just like bump it off the list. And when it's not autumn, it just doesn't feel like the right time of year. Like I don't feel like Rebecca is a summer book. I need to read that when it's like cool, and like maybe I should read it in the summer though, and just put on one of those like autumnal dark academia mansion in the rain kind of YouTube ambiance videos. In high school, we watched An American Werewolf in Paris. Looking back now, it was so inappropriate for teens to be watching a man turn into a werewolf. That scene was so graphic. Yeah. We would never let you get canceled. Thank you. I just like Tim Burton's, he has value in the cinematic landscape. His movies just never quite do it for me. Like I can appreciate his aesthetics and his style, but most of his movies just aren't really my kind of movie. And yeah, I mean, I kind of get this. I love Matthew McConaughey. Leo probably was made for that role in Titanic. Yes, okay, I got the title right. A Time to Kill. He is so good in that movie, but Samuel L. Jackson is also so good in that movie. I feel like so many people, especially now, know Sam Jackson for like Marvel. But his performance in that movie, Sam Jackson's got range, far more than what people think if they only think about him from like his most famous movies. He's amazing. Tristan and Isolde. Yeah, I own that. I have that on DVD somewhere because again, the costumes really good. It's one like Tristan and Isolde I can only do because I know going into it is a tragic romance. It is a spoiler if you don't know the original legend. But so good. And the actress who plays Isolde in that, love her. Holiday, my absolute favorite movie, so relatable. The soundtrack, talk about someone else who's got range. Hans Zimmer, a moment of appreciation for Hans Zimmer. He is probably my favorite film composer. Like so many of my favorite scores have been done by him, and that he can go from something like The Holiday, which is just so light and beautiful and romantic, but then also do these like really like deep, complex, like building action stuff. Oh, amazing. And I don't fall for new music very frequently, but I haven't mentioned this in a vlog since it happened. But back in April, when I was house sitting for my parents, I became obsessed with Ray. I'm probably the last person on the planet to do so, but yeah, her album, this album May Contain Hope, listened on repeat for like 2 weeks straight, and Click Clack Symphony shot straight into top 10 favorite songs of all time. Put any modern pop star collaborating with Hans Zimmer and I'm going to listen. And then I had to listen to the rest of the album and it was amazing. Heath Ledger and Julia Stiles in 10 Things I Hate About You. That movie was just so good. So good. Yes, Avi, I think that speech alone is worth watching that movie for. I think it's still relevant today, and also still gives me chills. Just so good. I feel like in this group we probably all loved 10 Things I Hate About You. I especially loved it because I love Taming of the Shrew by Shakespeare, which is what that was adapted from. Beaches was one I didn't get into. I do love Bette Midler. I think beaches just look too sad to me. It's like I was much older before I finally watched Steel Magnolias because again, just looked too sad. And like it is, but it's also hilarious. And I feel like Beaches is probably the same, where it's like because Bette Miller does comedy so well, it's probably got some really, really funny moments in it. But these days, if it's gonna make me cry, I just don't know that I want to watch it. Yes, Taming of the Shrew adaptation. And that show, Taming of the Shrew, is such a fun play. I'm glad I'm not the only one that is so moved by like that so affected by that scene. This is random, but your videos have helped me find my spark for writing again. Yes. That's what I hope to do. I love writing. I love writing so much. Writing has done so much for my life. And I never want anyone to feel like they can't write. Like, if you don't want to write, don't write. But if you want to write, but you keep coming up with reasons or excuses why you feel like you shouldn't write, I'm here to tell you to knock it off and just write. Because writing is the best. Winona Ryder, yeah, I mean, again, like really grew up with her. Although another movie that's coming up, on like another actress that was popular in like the 90s, Marissa Tomei. I've never generally been like a huge Marissa Tomei or Robert Downey Jr. fan, but the movie Only You with the two of them, y'all, if you haven't seen Only You, I'm gonna need you to go watch it and then DM me on Instagram and let me know what you think. It's been one I want to rewatch because it's been a while, but it is the ultimate summer travel escape movie. It's so good. So good. I don't know that I've seen, I probably have. Object of My Affection with Paul Rudd. I probably have. But if I have, it's been a very long time. Breakfast Club, I mean, the music is great. And yeah, Brat Pack adjacent is accurate. Yeah, I've probably seen a bunch. Like, I've probably seen a bunch of clips of The Breakfast Club, but I don't know that I've ever sat down and watched it in order in its entirety. It's also the same thing. This is going to be total random left turn. Same thing with How to Train Your Dragon. I don't think I've ever seen the movie in its entirety, but it is one of my dad's favorite movies. It is, yeah. So am I phrasing that right? It is one of the favorite movies of my dad. And so I've like popped into his office to like ask him a question or something. And if it is on TV, he will stop and watch it. So I've seen a million scenes from the animated film, How to Train Your Dragon, but I don't think I've seen, there's a number of movies that are like that where I've seen like probably 75% of the film, but not in order, just in random out of order scenes. Just kind of happens. Julia Roberts was my fave growing up. I probably watched every Julia Roberts film. Definitely add Spooks to your watch list. It is so good. I think all the seasons are on Amazon Prime. So if you have Amazon Prime, definitely check out Spooks on there. It probably is listed as MI5. Yeah, because that's what it went by here in the US. But so good. So many great British actors. The cast of that show is truly phenomenal. Yes, the book North and South. I finally read that a year or so ago. Really, really good. If you like, Jane Austen novels and like classic women's literature, I think you'd like Richard Armitage. You think you'd like North and South. Googling who the heck is Richard Armitage is. Never watched him though. Never heard of him though. Watched all the Vicar of Dibley shows. Yeah, he was only in, I think it was also the final 2 episodes of the whole series. But so good. And he was in The Hobbit. Yes. It always cracked me up that a guy who's 6'4" in real life would play a dwarf in Middle Earth, but he was so good as Thorin. Yeah, you don't recognize most of the people in the Hobbit movies, any of the Lord of the Rings movies. Their costuming and makeup is so much. I'm glad you agree with me, JC. Samuel Jackson does have so much range, and everyone just like knows him from Snakes on a Plane or Marvel or something like that. I think he was also Pulp Fiction he was in, and like really famous for that. But it just, yeah. Hans Zimmer, Bear McCreary, also great composer. But Hans Zimmer is always going to be one of my favorite. Yeah, I thought Beach is probably with Bette Midler. It probably is going to be pretty funny. Just it also looked sad. But now I probably should go back and watch it. There's a lot of those books. Yeah, I haven't read Matthew McConaughey's book, but good to know it's recommended. Sometimes with celebrity books, I never know. I don't know if I saw Get Over It or knew that it was Midsummer's Night Dream. That's good to know. I'm glad I'm not the only one who knows. Only you. That movie is so good. It is so good. The Hobbit was good, although it is funny that they took what is a very short book and turned it into 3 long films. But you know, when it means we get to go back to Middle Earth, I don't mind. I don't mind. I think we need a Discord to continue all these conversations. We probably do. But again, it's one more thing that I then have to manage. Yes, I feel like these are almost the holy trinity of film composers. They are all really, really good. 13 going on 30. I mean, Jennifer Garner. Love Jennifer Garner. Obsessed with Alias when that was on. Absolutely love. I think they did. I've not read The Hobbit. Again, don't cancel me. I've not read any of Tolkien's books. So I think that's why I can enjoy the films, because I'm not comparing them. But yeah. Well, if I ever do decide to create a Discord, I will let you know. I feel like I should read Tolkien at some point, just because I like reading and studying other writers, but it just feels like it's such a commitment. Caroline is saying, just like Heaven with Reese Witherspoon. Yes. Although that's making me think of a Reese Witherspoon movie from totally different genre. But I think the first Reese Witherspoon movie I watched, and I'm not going to be able to remember the title, but it's her and another like young guy, teen heartthrob type actor at the time, and they're stranded in like the Saharan desert or something, and like I can't remember how, but they've got to survive and get back to civilization or something. Very random movie, but that was one that I remember watching in like the mid 90s. About to say, you live in New Zealand, so Middle Earth is just down the road from me. Seems so backyardish. I mean, I wish that kind of scenery was backyardish for me. Okay, I will have to look into Discord. I hate that they canceled Alias. Yes, I was not ready for that show to be over. A lot of people saying they would like Discord. Let me get through the trip, and then I will look into that. The Hobbit did incorporate some elements of his other works. The Hobbit is very cozy. Lord of the Rings holds up, but is dense to read. Yeah. I'm going to have to look up the Reese Witherspoon movie that I'm trying to think about. I mean, Sweet Home Alabama, definitely love that one. But let me look up Reese Witherspoon movies. Is my keyboard turned on? And I bet this movie is going to end up being much older than I think it is. For all I know, it was actually like, well, how old is she? She's probably 76. It could be 89. Let's see. Has anyone popped it in the chat? Well, that's all producers. Where's her acting credits? Actress. Gotta scroll all the way to the bottom because I know that this one, now that I'm looking through, like, how many movies did she do? Someone had mentioned Cruel Intentions, another classic. That was high school. That was my senior year of high school. Far Off Place, that's the one I'm thinking of. 1993. Okay, so early-ish 90s. A gang of African poachers raid her family's farm. Young Nani, visiting American teenager Harry Winslow, and local bushman guide must escape into the Kalahari Desert and reach the nearest town. Talk about another movie. Like, I've probably only watched it once or twice, but left a lifelong impression on me. Avi says, Middle Earth is your backyard. What a flex. Yeah. Yeah, I don't do Discord either, JC. It's why I haven't done one. It's like, it's a whole new platform I'd have to learn how to use and then be over on. And I already feel like I don't use Patreon as much as I would like to use. But like, I know Discord can probably do things that Patreon can't do. And like, Patreon can probably do things that Discord can't do. And yeah. The list of things for Andrew to do when she gets back from England gets longer and longer. Yep. Patreon has a section now where groups can chat, just another option. Mira, I do want to do more with the free version of Patreon. Like, I would like for more people to just join Patreon as a free member, because then it gives me a space off of YouTube where we can talk and stuff. So I want to kind of increase everything I'm doing on Patreon, both for the free members as well as for the paid members, to make both levels more worth it for both. JC, it's called A Far Off Place. And it was Reese Witherspoon, and Ethan Embry, I think, was the other younger person at the time. So it was really interesting. I did like it at the time. Very dramatic. And yeah, the actor who played their bush guide, it was just a really interesting cast, really interesting story. And like, I feel like the problem is, like, some people are on Discord, some people are on Patreon, some are on Instagram. Like, there's no place to like have all of us all be together. Patreon's chat feature isn't the best, but I don't get Discord either. Yeah, so Des, I know you run a Discord server, and yes, it opens up a lot of cool connection opportunities. I know there's a lot of authors who are on Patreon or on Discord. So like, I feel like just as an author, I'd love to like be part of someone else's Discord, to like be part of that. So like joining your Discord, Desiree, I think Emma Bennett has a Discord server as well, where she's part of one. I know she's asked me if I'm on there, and I just like she asked me like over a year ago, and I'm still not on there. So honestly, any chatty community is great. Yeah. I will say, as a short-term plug for my Patreon, I am going to be doing, I'll be sharing some stuff from the trip for the free tier. Like if you're not on Instagram, like what I post on Instagram, I'll probably post for the free members on Patreon, maybe a little bit more. But then I also want to be doing a lot more during the trip for the paid members. So June and July might be a good time. And if you can only afford one of those months, then maybe July to like catch up on what I've posted in June and then follow up on anything I post in July. I do want to try to be doing some things like travel stuff in the summer if I travel, like a behind the scenes of my travel journal diary type thing in the summer when I travel, and then the Patreon Advent story in December, so that even if someone doesn't want to or can't subscribe to Patreon every single month, that like 1 or 2 months out of the year you can join and have a lot more going on during those months. So got it. I have a movie to watch this weekend because I thought I'd seen all things. Yeah, if you haven't seen A Far Off Place with Reese Witherspoon, I would recommend it. I do think that, so using Discord and joining some other writing service would probably be good for finding writing partners and critique partners. Like I do have some writing partners and critique partners separately, but I think for people who are looking for that, Discord is probably a great place to do that. A lot of people are also doing this, reducing my electronic footprint and don't do stuff, all socials and such anymore unless specific value, hence the Discord and adjacent platforms I don't engage with. Yeah, like I feel like I should, like I'm stretched thin with what I'm already on. To do more, it just feels like it would be overextending myself. So yeah, I'm never going to please everyone. I'm never going to be able to cover all the bases. But Des, I would be willing to chat about, if not me starting one, then at least joining someone else's. Andrew's Patreon sounds like a vacation. We pay during the July and December months for summer and Christmas content. I mean, yeah, that's what I would like to do. You know, some people are willing and happy, it seems, to just be an ongoing member of Patreon every month. And then others, I know $5 a month every month is a lot. Like there was a time where that was a lot for me. So I totally understand that. But I think $5 a month, 1 or 2 months out of the year, like December was just so much fun. Having so many people over there in December following the Advent story was a lot of fun. So, okay. It's 5 o'clock and we've been going for over 3 hours. I'm caught up with the chat. I think I'm going to call it good before anyone sends us down another tangent, because I am very distractible and chatty today. But I think 3 hours of just chatting, this has definitely exceeded what I thought we were going to do, but you all are just too much fun to talk to. And I'm amazed that we still have 38 people on this stream. But I need to go eat dinner. Because if I wait any longer to heat up my pizza, I will end up having popcorn for dinner. So sorry that you didn't get any of your reviewing done, but I'm glad you had fun. Yeah, so yeah, I'm gonna take off. But I am vlogging, so you will see all of the fun of me melting down as my trip approaches. I might try to do another live stream before I leave, either another chatty one like this or one that also includes some writing. But yeah, thanks for hanging out with me. So replay crew, if you have made it all the way to the end, wow. Those of you who have been watching live, thank you. I love each and every one of you. And links to all my things, typical YouTube ending here, are all in the description box below. And give the stream a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it. Give the replay a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it. If I don't stream again before the trip, I probably will. Maybe not for 3 hours, but I probably will stream before the trip. But I'm still figuring out launch day and launch day celebrations. So there might be a London live stream to celebrate the launch. I will be hitting publish very soon on the book, on book 5. So if you are keeping an eye on the series page on Amazon, one day soon, it's probably just going to pop up as being live. But otherwise, links to sign up for my newsletter is in the description box. And I will be sending a newsletter out finally at some point when the book is live. So yeah, stay tuned. Loving a London Boy will be live very, very soon, and we will be celebrating properly very soon once this book is live. So on that note, I'm going to go, and I will see you all very soon in a new video or in a live stream. And thanks for hanging out with me. This was so much fun. This was so much fun. So thank you all. You're amazing, and I will see you soon.